Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's broadcast, Insane Leader 13, and we are about to get underway for the 6th race of the season for PPRL's NASCAR Championship here in early 2026. Here at the high banks of the Sunset Peninsula Oval is the only time we're going to be running at this track in this season. Real quickly, before we get underway for the race proper, we have some big developments to talk about after the end of the last race way back at Miami a week ago. In that event, there was an amazing 3-wide finish. In the end, it was determined that SRD Shredder did cross the start-finish line first. However, SRD Shredder was not only disqualified from the race, he has been completely banned from PPRL. It was discovered that he was using a Forza exploit known as frame glitching, frame hacking, frame buffering. It goes by various different names, where if you're on PC, you can artificially get the game to lag you forward a bit and cheat a little bit of extra speed into your car by pulling up and shutting down your telemetry really fast. It had been revealed that Shredder had been doing that across all of the oval races this season, including on the short oval at Eagle Rock, which highly implies that it's also an abuse that can be utilized in road course racing, though it's a lot harder to do so. After discovering that that is the abuse that had been done, the race win and just even the being credited as starting the race had been completely stripped from SRD Shredder. So, Shredder is still in the championship technically with a set amount of points, however he is not allowed to race at all in the rest of PPRL's existence. That changes the dynamic of the entire championship. And real quickly, let's go ahead and look over the championship as it stands right now. Starting with the Drivers' Championship. You have, in 28th place is AEXIV. He has 3 points on the season. 27th is Linemane 85. He has 18 points. 26th is Rye Racer 24. He has 18 points. 25th is XR Frosted 72 with 20 points. 27th is Adam 24 with 21 points. 23rd is FC Barcelona 19. He has 23 points. 22nd is Benzie with 27 points. 21st in the championship is XMS Dragon 1. He has 30 points. 20th is Dubs 1775 with 38 points. 19th is Gen 3 LS79 with 69 points. Nice. 18th is Quinibo with 76 points. 17th in the championship is Taylor Weiler. He has 78 points. 16th is Zodiac. He has 82 points. 15th is Visible Rocket 98. He has 82 points. 14th is Duke 7390. He has 92 points. 13th is JDM Culture. He has 95 points. 12th is Link the Racer with 100 points. 11th is Waterfire, 611, 351. Waterfire has 112 points. 10th is PRG Black. He is the last place of everyone who has attended all 5 races thus far this season. He has 127 points. 9th is Hockey 2487 with 129 points. 8th is Royally Stoned. He has 130 points. 7th is Savage Speeder 88 with 131 points. 6th is Lear Art with 132 points. 5th is Boss Racer Pro 199. He has 136 points. 4th is SRD Shredder. He still has the points that he earned in the first 4 races, which puts him at 145 points in the championship. And then you get to your 3 championship contenders now that Shredder's been removed. 3rd is Ghost Reaper 617. He has 163 points, 23 points out of the lead. 2nd is Dawson 14, Dawson XIV. He has 181 points. And 1st is Tazebot 44 with 186 points. Again, after SRD Shredder was disqualified, the win of that race went to Tazebot. So Tazebot's finishes thus far this season has been 1st, 3rd, 3rd, 5th, and 1st. Dawson, who is right behind him in the championship, his finishes this season has been 6th, 1st, 2nd, 6th, and 2nd thus far. So the fight between Taze and Dawson in the Drivers' Championship is going to get really tight. In the Teams' Championship, 10th is DBM. They still only have 3 points. 9th is JFR with 23 points. 8th is Excite Motorsports with 30 points. 7th is the ABR team. They have 53 points. 6th is Juiced Elephant Racing. They have 100 points. 5th is Fast Dudes Racing with 152 points. 4th is Susaki Motorsports. They have 170 points. 3rd is BWTR with 248 points. 2nd is XIV. They have 352 points. And leading in the Teams Championship is Apex Velocity Motorsports. They have 369 points at this stage of the season. In the Manufacturers Championship, 3rd place is Ford with 732 points. 2nd place is Chevrolet with 839 points. 1st is Toyota with 878 points right now. And that is your championship standings as they are at this stage of the event. We are currently waiting to get underway for the race proper. Taysbot 44 has earned the pole for today's event. Dawson, once again, like he does quite a bit in the series, elected to skip qualifying. There is also potentially a bit of a holdup as they may have been waiting on Waterfire. We are going to be looking at a very, very stacked field. It does not look like they have gotten Waterfire in here, so we're going to be going without Waterfire. We are going to be looking at a stacked field of over 20 cars in today's event, or exactly 20 cars in today's event. Tire wear is at 2x. The anticipation is that the soft tires will not last the full fuel tank. The mediums will. I think a lot of people will likely be going medium tires throughout the event. Initially, this was going to be a shorter race. The race was going to be about 125 laps. However, some changes were made behind the scenes. The race was still lengthened to 150 laps. This makes the race technically just a little bit shy of 600 kilometers. That's why the race is labeled as a 600-kilometer event here. We're going to go ahead and take a Twitch-mandated ad break as the field loads onto the track and then tries to jump onto the tire choice that they want at the start. When we come back, we'll see them ordering up and preparing to get underway here at Sunset Peninsula for the green flag. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here at Sunset Peninsula. The field is beginning to order itself up on the back straightaway here. We have had a disconnect in the form of Lion Mane 85, but there hasn't been any indication that they are going to back out to try and bring them back into the event. If so, then we will drop down to a 20-lap event. Also, it does look like Waterfire was able to join the event at the last possible moment. Once again, remember, Taysbot 44, he is going to be your pole sitter for today's event. He has a 5-point buffer right now over Dawson 14. Dawson, who skipped qualifying, will be starting near the very back of the field in today's event here. Dawson will be in that familiar number 96 health machine. We've had 4 different winners in the first 5 events, but one of those winners is now no longer with us. Are we going to see what would be our 5th different winner in 6 races? That is the question. As now everyone is beginning to properly double up here on the back straightaway. You see, it's going to be Taysbot, then Ghost Reaper on the front row. After that will be PRG Black and Savage Speeder 88. Then you'll have Deed Speedman and Link the Racer. Deed Speedman is an outsider to this group. This is his first time with this series. After that will be JDM Culture and Zodiac 9257. Then you will see, if we go just a little bit farther down, Gen 3 LS 79 and Hockey 2487. After that will be Barcelona 19. And it looks like, I believe, Dubs 1775 as well. Then you'll have Punisher, Adam, Cam Black, Boss Racer Pro, Waterfire, Visible Rocket, and then obviously Lear Art and Dawson will round out the rear of the grid. And we should see them start rolling momentarily. It looks like Taze has chosen to restart on the outside lane for this event. We'll see them roll through the turn 3 and 4 banking here momentarily. In a week's time, they'll be back at Daytona for another plate race, but that race will only be 300 miles instead of 500. It will only be the race there will be about 120 laps. And here's your field. 10 rows of 2, one of the largest NASCAR fields that we have seen here at Sunset Peninsula for a properly organized event. Does seem like someone has fallen off the pace just a little bit farther back. We're not quite sure what's going on there. We'll get an idea as to what the fuel strategy and tire strategy will be in a bit, but we're going to try and stick with us for hopefully a good long green flag start. As they are coming down to the green flag, it's going to be Tazeball on the outside, Ghost Reaper on the inside. We are already green and underway here at Sunset. And immediately it looks like Taze has gotten a fantastic jump. Ghost Reaper trying to keep Savage Spear behind him. He chops that 27 down. In front, there are several cars very wide on the outside farther back. Ghost has a gigantic draft run on that 00. They are 3 wide, 4 wide farther back there for a third position. Side by side for a lead, though. They're 5 wide back there just outside the top 5. They are 3 wide for second just for a moment. Taze somehow is still leading as they go down the back straightaway. Ghost Reaper has gone from second all the way down to 7th in just the length of the back straightaway. And now we see him fading out 3 and 4 abreast as they go through turns 3 and 4. Turn 4 is one of the most difficult high-banked corners in online racing. And Ghost Reaper, who started second, has fallen all the way back to 15th in the span of just a single lap. It has not gone well for him, but something that has gone well for is Zodiac. Zodiac in that number 41 Haas machine has fired it off into the lead with that Monster Energy paint scheme. So now Zodiac will lead our first proper racing lap here, and coming up behind him is Boss Racer Pro, and Link the Racer is there as well. So is Tazebot, 2 of our prior winners running right in the top 4. Here comes Savage Speeder. Savage still looking for his first win on what has been a fantastic season for him. Now we see Zodiac goes up high. Boss Racer Pro is going to go to the inside. Boss is getting a push by Link. They're going to be nose to tail as they go into turns 3 and 4. It looks like Boss is still going to be able to lead as they come out of turn 4, but will he maintain the lead as they come down to the start-finish line? They pull to the inside, side by side for a lead. Yes, Boss will still lead, but Zodiac is right there. Zodiac on the inside with that 41. He'll complete the overtake with a little bit of contact. Zodiac goes back to the front. Link now taking a little bit higher of a line. He looks to the outside. He tries to get the draft off of that number 41 on the higher line, but there's a train of about 5 cars farther down with Savage Speeder. He's in there right behind Boss Racer right now. Just about 2 by 2 in this big pack of about 8 cars at the very head of the field. Then we have a separate pack from about 9th all the way to 19th, and Ghost Reaper has already pitted in the very first lap, with that front row start has been basically thrown to nothing for him. They are nearly 3 wide for a lead. They come out of the final corner. The 8's on the outside. The 7 is on the inside. 3 wide, and it will be the Blue Angels car that leads. Link the Racer leads as they come across the start-finish line with Savage Speeder right behind them. They are 3 wide just behind for a third spot. Now the fire is back down to 2 wide as Zodiac and Taze are side by side for a third position. Link the Racer right there behind Savage. Now he's going to go to the outside of Savage, side by side for the lead. Now side by side for second, as it seems like Link doesn't have quite the speed to keep up with Savage until they get about halfway down the back straightaway. Still 2 by 2 by 2 by 2, but now we're starting to see some of the people at the back of this grid fall off a bit. Dawson is starting to lose touch with this group potentially, but it is Savage Speeder on the inside, Link the Racer on the outside. And as they come out of the corner, it's going to be a drag race between these two. As they come across the line, I think the leader is going to be, yes, once again, it is Link. So while the lead does change in the middle of the lap, Link leads back-to-back laps early on here at Sunset. Link leads without too much problem. Savage on the inside, Zodiac on the outside, neck and neck between the number 8 and the number 41. The 7 goes up high, gives a little bit of draft to the 41. The 41 closes up on that number 7. Now the 7 comes down low to try and block Savage Speeder's run. The 41 tries to come up around the outside. The 41 is side by side with the number 7 as they fire it off into turns 3 and 4 again. Just a little bit up the road for them is Ghost Reaper. They will likely catch him in about 10 or so laps. Still side by side for the top positions. Savage Speeder getting to the inside of that number 7 as they come out of the final corner, but he does not have the handling to keep the momentum there. It is still going to be Link who leads that lap 3 wide between JDM Culture, Zodiac, and Savage. So this lead pack all seem to be running on the softer tire compound right now and is letting them gap the rest of the field. Oh, and there's a crash! And Zodiac goes to the wall! He's not the only one. It looks like Savage Speeder went to the wall with him there. Zodiac and Savage Speeder both have an accident just as they're going into turn number 1, and that will likely lead to a yellow flag, I would imagine. Zodiac finally has gotten rolling here. Is this a yellow flag? That is the question. The leaders still seem to be going at speed. It does seem like we're still going at full speed, apparently, despite 2 of our drivers at the head of the field having a tremendous accident in turn 1. So now it is Boss and Link the Racer side by side here. Dawson, who, remember, he skipped qualifying because he is so confident with his ability. He is already up in the 3rd position, and we're not even 10% of the way through the race. We're barely about 5% of the way through this race, and he's already up into the 3rd position. Side by side between Boss and Link here as they go down the back straightaway. The 95 still tucked up behind the 7. Boss doesn't really have anyone behind him pushing him, but this lead pack has now gone down to a 5-car train as both Zodiac and Savage Speeder was involved in that accident. Savage Speeder has already made it into the pits. I think Zodiac also made it into the pits just a little bit ago, so this will likely put Savage a lap down. Zodiac, I imagine, will end up going a lap down sooner rather than later as well. Yes, Ghost Reaper also is not yet a lap down, but is likely going to go a lap down sooner rather than later. And Dawson has completed the overtake on Link the Racer. So Dawson has gone from last to first once again. Qualifying really doesn't mean a whole lot in this series. We see time and time again, you can qualify dead last and go right to the front if you're happy and confident with the way your car handles here in this series. So as a single file train of 5 cars ranked just about nose to tail, from 1st to 5th position, Dawson, Link, Taze, JDM, and Boss Racer Pro. Deeds Feeman is leading this 2nd pack farther back. All those drivers farther back running on the harder, what we believe are medium tire compounds. Real quick, let's go ahead and take a look at the tire life of these drivers at the front here. It is 14.8% wear right now for Link the Racer. For Dawson, who is running just ahead of him, he is at 21.5%. Where Tazebot, who is 3rd in this pack, his tire life is at 21.5, but at the rears, Boss Racer Pro, who is 4th in this little group, he is at 22.5 on that right rear, and then JDM Culture, who is just starting to lose touch with this lead group, he is at 22.7 on that left rear. Then I go back to Deeds Feeman, who is leading this big chunk of cars, about 9 cars here. He is already at 35.6%. So I'm wrong. These drivers farther back, they are the ones on the softer tire compounds. So it seems like the harder tire compounds are the ones that have gone to the front earlier, as the softer tires are stuck in that big glut of cars farther back. So the medium tires seem to not only have an advantage when it comes to overall pace, but it seems to also have an advantage in tire life. And all those drivers farther back, we saw Deedsman in pit just after we looked at his tires. He is already jumping off of those softs. He's going to be putting on medium, so this is going to really up in the race if it means that there's really only one ideal tire throughout the entire event, and that would be the medium tires. Punisher has also lost touch with draft, so has Zodiac after that accident earlier. Savage is the first driver 1 lap down. Ghost Reaper just barely still staying on the lead lap at the moment. Side by side for a lead is Boss leading on the outside. Link trying to come up on the inside here. Dawson right behind. Again, Dawson and Taze, those are your 2 championship contenders. As long as the 2 of them see each other like this, Taze can feel a little bit confident because he has a 5-point buffer. Outside of winning a race, every single spot on track is a 1-point change winning a race, the difference between first and second is a 5-point gap. Remember also, Taysbot did qualify on the pole. We know he's fast, but Dawson is also fast in his own right. He went from last to first in about 5% of the race's distance. But right now, it seems like this duo is content to run behind Boss and Link. Boss leads, Link in second. Dawson tucked up right behind in third. Tays in fourth. Now Tays looks to the inside. He'll use that momentum to shoot by Dawson, shoot by Link. Tays goes up into second in the train. Boss continues to lead, though. Now we're seeing a lot of spreading out in the field right now. Farther back, Visible Rocket, Cocky, and Waterfire, they're all in a bit of a battle amongst themselves. There's also Cam Black, who's right there in the middle of this as well. Cam's trying to open up a bit of a gap. Mind you, Visible Rocket and JDM Culture, so apparently we have a little bit of hiccups when it comes to the actual proper gaps in the field, but JDM Culture and Visible Rocket, they are leading this little pack right now. Pack of about 6 cars at the moment, so what started with a gigantic field spanning pack is now kind of gradually broken up. Bad tire choices coupled with just normal handling issues is really starting to see the field break apart. We're not really seeing the big packs that we are familiar with on these drafting tracks. Tire wear is really proving to be an issue. 26 holds the inside line in this battle. That is JDM Culture. He's got Visible Rocket to his outside. They are still side by side, but now there's a little train of cars on the inside pushing nose to tail. That should be enough to keep JDM Culture ahead of this pack for a little bit longer. Meanwhile, at the head of the field is Boss Racer Pro, who leads, but Taysbot is trying to wrap it around the outside. He'll bring Dawson with him. Link the Racer is considering going with them as well. All these drivers trying to figure out alternate ideal lines through here. It looks like Dawson will close ahead. Oh, he licks the outside wall, shoots to the extreme inside, side by side. Despite licking the wall, Dawson actually leads at the line that time. Dawson goes to the front in this little 4-car pack at the head of the field here. 3 of your 4 race winners, Dawson, Tays, and Link, all run in the top 4 positions, and Boss Racer Pro is a driver who has had race-winning pace in multiple races, but it's all just fallen apart from him. The cream has risen to the top very early here at sunset, as we are just about 1/10 of the way through the event right now. Still side by side between Boss Racer Pro and Dawson, neck and neck. Not quite door to door, though. They're keeping just enough of a gap between them, so if one of them slides, it doesn't immediately take him out. 2 by 2 for the top 4. It is Boss Racer on the outside, Dawson on the inside. Boss is the one who leads the lap at the line. Tays is tucked up behind Dawson. Link is tucked up behind Boss. 67 and 96 go side by side into turn 1 again. A bit of contact between the 96 and the 67? No, but Dawson has the nose ahead as they come out of turn number 2. And now they're starting to close in on Ghost Reaper. Remember, Ghost Reaper qualified second, but pitted very early, we believe, for a single car crash. Now he is going to be drafting help or drafting problem for this lead pack. Where they catch this lap car is going to have a big impact on how this group of 4 at the head of the field shakes out here. 67 pulls a little bit of a gap on Dawson, but Dawson's trying to have a big entry so he can have a nice tight exit. Doesn't work out. Dawson slides a little bit wide. They're going to be just about nose to tail. And Boss is now close enough to get a draft off of Ghost Reaper. Ghost Reaper now side by side with a lap car in his own right. That is Punisher. Punisher gets onto the apron and very nearly wrecks right in front of our group of 4. Our entire group of 4 goes to the outside and clears them before it causes any problem. But that was definitely a heart in the throat moment for all 4 of these drivers here. Through the triangle that is on the back straightaway and now into turns 3 and 4. Again, Boss Racer now tucked up right behind Ghost Reaper. Punisher is your second driver who has gone a lap down in the event. No big moves here at the head of the grid. They all stay single file, nose to tail right now. I look farther back. This is JDM Culture, who has slipped back into this big pack of cars. He is at 40.2% right now. I look at Waterfire, another driver in this big pack of cars. He is at 43% actually on that right front. Then I look at our lead pack. This is Boss Racer Pro. His tire life right now, he is at 41.4 on that right rear. Dawson, who is running right behind him, is at 41.3 on the right rear. I look at Tays, who is just behind Dawson. Tays is running around at 41.2 on the right rear. And then I look at Link, 4th in this little train of cars. He is at 30.3. So Link might be on the ultra hard tire compound. trying to go really long, which could be very interesting because if Link ends up going super long and he can catch draft for a large chunks of the race, he could end up with a significant track position advantage if we go green for long enough. Still, this pack is all running just about nose to tail behind Ghost Reaper, so it seems like our leaders are content to let Ghost Reaper tow them around the track, let Ghost Reaper give them some extra lap time, and basically help tow them around here. Very interesting scenarios. We didn't really see a lot of this at Daytona. At Daytona, whenever the pack would catch lap traffic, they would filter by them very quickly, but that is not the case. We see our leaders using lap traffic to their advantage to continue to pull a gap on the rest of the field that is running from about 5th on down the grid. So as our lead group has calmed down, I look farther back here, is FC Barcelona in that number 3 machine that has gone to the front. There are 3 different Dale Sr., Kevin Harvick-inspired paints in the field. There might be 4, but I know there are at least 3 of them. Barcelona is running in one of them. Another one to keep an eye on is PRG Black. He is also running one of those Dale Sr. / Kevin Harvick-inspired paint scheme. Very popular pair of drivers in this field right now. Now we see Visible Rocket and Dadium Culture go to lead. So while the front group are all in a nice little nose-to-tail formation, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, this pack is still cutting it up amongst themselves and potentially bleeding off huge chunks of time in the process. I don't know if they realize that if they just got together and ran in single-file formation, they could make some ground up. But again, I look at the lead group, and I feel like Link the Racer, at least for the medium term of this race, may be in a good position running on a harder tire compound to enable him to stay out on track for significantly longer here. About, well, not quite. Coming up to finish what will be our 20th racing lap, we have had a nice long green flag run, not without instance. We know that we were right on board with Savage Spears. He had an incident with Zodiac out of the front pack, and then also Punisher had an incident as well, but we have stayed green on track since the start here. Absolutely blitzing pace right now. Still, Boss Racer pulls up behind Ghost Reaper, continues to just run right behind, not really showing any incentive to try and go around. He's just trying to save fuel, I imagine. We look at the fuel numbers for Boss, 34% in the fuel tank. He's at 50% wear on the tires. I look just behind at Link the Racer. This is going to be the really interesting bit, because Link is likely going to burn up his entire fuel tank before he goes through his entire tire life, honestly. Or the 2 of them will expire at just about the same point. While our top 3, Boss, Dawson, and Taze, all have hit the 50% mark when it comes to tire life. Link is not going to hit that anytime soon. So these drivers ahead, unless they feel they can build a lot of extra speed and ground just from the draft, they're going to start hemorrhaging time and start really sliding around side by side between Dawson and Taze, your 2 people at the top of the championship fight. And Boss finally says he's had enough. He's going to try and go around the outside of Ghost Reaper. Trying to go around the outside, not necessarily the greatest thing ever. And yeah, now Boss pulls back in line behind Ghost Reaper as they go through turns 3 and 4. Riding on board with Link. As we go down the front straightaway here, you can look behind. Visible Rocket leading that pack behind. They are starting to close in. That group from 5th on to about 9th is close to about 2.2 seconds out of the leader. So they are starting to cut the gap down to our lead pack, our lead train here. Boss has led the most laps of the race thus far, but we are really curious as to when the pit stops are going to begin for our leaders. A little bit of jockeying. We see Link looks to the outside, just pokes his nose to the outside, trying not to get too much highway hypnosis and have nightmares about Busch Light and the 00. With the wrong thing, no wonder. Side by side there, as now Boss Racer Pro has slipped behind both Dawson and Taze. And now your top 2 in the championship are neck and neck at the head of the field. Taze trying to work the outside, Dawson on the inside. and Taze will go to the front of this little 4-car pack. And while these 4 are battling, we now see that Ghost Reaper is starting to pull away from them just a little bit. Not far enough that they've lost his draft, but he is starting to pull away. And this group of 4 cars, they now only have 1.5 seconds over that group being led by the likes of Visible Rocket and Waterfire. 3 wide for the lead. It is Dawson who leads that time around. Dawson gets to the inside. Dawson finally clears by Ghost Reaper. He's going to bring Link the Racer in second, and then it will be Boss in third. Taze is going to slip back to the 4th position in this group of 4 cars. So now we see Ghost Reaper go a lap down to this group. But again, the big thing is Visible Rocket is leading that big train of cars farther back. They are now within 1 3/4 of a second of this lead pack. Side by side, neck and neck there between Boss and Dawson. Boss on the outside, Dawson on the inside. Bit of a slide there by Link. They come out of the corner 3 wide across the line. And it was Taze on the extreme outside who ends up leading that time. But now Boss goes back in front, and then Dawson goes back in front by the time they get to turn 1. The lead can change 2 to 3 times just in the gap from turn 4 exit to turn 1 entry. Side by side between Taze and Link, Dawson leads, Link inherits second. 3rd place is now a fight between Taze and Boss. Visible Rocket now within 1.7 seconds of this lead group. And again, still, these drivers have not caught off their tires. We're looking at 63.8% wear on Dawson. I look at Link. He is second in this pack right now. He is on a harder tire compound. He's only at 45.4% wear right now. I look at Boss Racer Pro, who's also in the middle of this pack. His tire life, he's at 64.1% wear. And now I look at Taze, who is running around in the 4th spot right now. He is at 63.3% right now. Taze muscles his way by Boss, and we still have Ghost Reaper in the middle of this. Now we're seeing drivers in that back pack starting to pit. Gen 3 is pitted, Adam is pitted, Zodiac is pitted, Punisher is pitted, so pit stops starting to happen a little bit past the 25 laps into the race. So if these drivers can go about 30 laps through this race, this makes this a nice, easy 4-stop event if we have no yellow flags. I mean, who am I kidding? This is PPRL. We almost always have yellow flags, but that could be the strategy we're looking at. Drivers just trying to lengthen out to about 30 laps overall. The thing is, I look farther back, Visible Rocket is continuing to charge down on this lead group. Mind you, Visible Rocket's not perfect with tires, but he is also on a harder tire compound at 48.5% right now on that right front. He is burning down the Nicotina more to catch this lead group. Have to navigate a little bit of lap traffic there. But Visible Rocket now within 1 1/4 second of the lead pack. He is likely going to catch them very shortly. But again, the big thing to consider is going to be, look at the fuel. He's already down to 11.1%. It looks like if you're really confident with how the tires handle, you could go on the medium tires and be fine. But I do think the hard tires may be the way to go because the hards don't seem to be having a pace fall off. Link now goes to lead in that lead pack there over Dawson. It is side by side though for between Dawson and Taze, and now Taze gets back in front of Dawson, but Link now has gone to the front in this little pack. Taze very wide in turns 1 and 2. That might let Dawson get through here. Visible Rocket now within less than a second of the leaders. He is just about to catch the draft of our lead pack. So yes, I do feel this is going to set it for sure. The medium tires might be able to get you great track position early, but over the full course of a fuel window, it is the hard tires that are the way to go. So if we have late race restarts, obviously people are going to be jumping on the softer tires, but as long as we have these longer green flag runs, the harder compound tires will be the way to go. Waterfire pits, comeback pits, Barcelona pits, JDM culture pits, hockey pits, but Visible Rocket has now gone from being just one driver in that big pack of cars before to now catching that lead group before. So we now have 5 drivers in this lead pack, and Visible Rocket's already gone by Taze with no issue. He's already gone by Visible Rocket with Boss Racer without any issue. He now pulls up behind Link. The only person that is ahead of Link who's still on the more worn out tires is Dawson. They're on lap 31 right now, 73.7%, but they still have fuel in there. These drivers could stay out a little bit longer if they feel that they are not tire limited, but still, Link and Visible Rocket are absolutely on top of it right now. And now Visible Rocket is going to duck into the pit, so will Tazebot. So now it's just a 3-car lead pack here with Dawson, Link, and Boss Racer Pro, and the lapped car of Ghost Reaper. Well, now he's not lapped, he's just ahead of this group, but now it is back to being a 4-car breakaway here, but it is Dawson trying to stay ahead of Link. Link seems to be content and just running right behind Dawson right now. I do feel that overall, the experiment has proven that the hard tires are going to be the way to go on green flag runs, but the medium tires are better for shorter runs. As another lap car, that is Hockey on the outside, letting them by. We are now down to just 11 drivers still on the lead lap. But if we had a yellow flag, everyone would get 1 lap back. And here comes Link the Racer and Dawson and Boss Racer Pro. And Dawson had completely lost all of his speed coming out of that corner, licked the outside wall, and let Link pull out a gap of about 3/4 of a second on Dawson before they came into the pit lane. Okay, so now we turn our focus to Visible Rocket, who had just caught the leaders before he made a stop, and he stopped 1 lap earlier. How much ground can Visible Rocket make up on that group? He does not have any drafting help right now, although he does have Tazebot behind, but he got onto these tires nice and early. He wouldn't be sliding around them nearly as much. Looks like Link is going to maintain his position over Dawson, and Boss Racer is there starting to come out of pit lane right now. Visible Rocket caught by Tazebot. This is the number 0 and the double 0 as they go across the start-finish line. Link, Dawson, and Boss Racer already in turn 1. We're going to see them coming up onto the track momentarily. I think this group may just barely have what it takes to reform here. It looks like that's going to be exactly the case, although Taze going to the outside of Visible Rocket might slow him down a bit, but they are within a second of the leaders. They are within 7/10 of a second of the leaders. Tazebot has caught the group, and yes, we are going to have a pack of about 6 cars, I believe. Yeah, about 6 cars, 7 cars actually. Waterfire is just on the edge of this, but we have a group of about 6 cars and a handful of lapped cars in this fight as well. Cam Black, we hadn't talked a lot about him. He is in that late career Jimmy Johnson Carvana number 84 machine. He is up in the top 5 right now. So your leader is Tazebot, followed by Dawson, Boss Racer Pro, Link the Racer, Cam Black, Visible Rocket, and Waterfire. There are 7 different leaders in this little lead pack, and then we have some lapped cars as well in this mix in the form of Ghost Reaper. Deed Speedman is just a little ways up the track. He jumped onto the soft tires at the start of the race. Ended up being a very bad strategy. He is the next driver at risk of going a lap down. He's absolutely been phenomenal here at the head of this field. We're going to go ahead and ride on board for a lap with Waterfire, the driver who normally ends up in a lot of controversy, but he is performing very strongly today. We're going to take a Twitch-mandated ad break as we ride on board with Waterfire for a few laps here at Sunset. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Sunset. 2x2x2 at the front is the 0 and the double 0 at the head of the field, looking like a roulette table almost. But it is Visible Rocket, who was in the middle of a bigger pack of cars farther back, but he jumped onto the harder tires, just stuck with it, and as the drivers at the front on softer tires felt their grip going away, Visible Rocket rammed them down, caught them, While he has pitted about a lap earlier than most of the rest of this group, he is leading this field right now on what seems to be legitimate merit and ability. We have 7 different leaders in this lead pack, along with one lapped car in the form of Ghost Reaper. And this pack of cars is the biggest pack in the field right now. There are a handful of other groups right now, 10th, 11th, and 12th, which is Hockey, Dubs, and Lear Art, all running relatively close to each other. And then there are a handful of other people that are just kind of like 1 or 2 at a time, like Barcelona and JDM Culture. But the main focus, the main action is here in this big lead pack. The sun has gone down, the lights have turned on here at Sunset Peninsula. And it is the 0 and the 00. Once again, remember, in the championship fight, Dawson was 5 points behind Taze coming into this event. They are both in this giant pack of cars. Taze pitted a lap earlier than Dawson, but Dawson had some tremendous tire fall off in that extra lap he stayed out. Doesn't look like it's hurt him too much, though. They're all still in this big pack of cars, but that is something to remember. Everyone in this group was able to go a little bit more than 30 laps, about 31 to 33 laps. Now, obviously, the very first lap of the race was a pace lap, so it doesn't really help, but still, if you can go about 30 laps on a tank of fuel, regardless of your tires, whether they're mediums or hards, then it looks like this will be a nice, simple 4-stop race around lap 30, around lap 60, around lap 90, and around lap 120, and that will be enough to get you to the end if there are no yellow flags. Of course, yellow flags will completely upend everything if that happens. The other thing to consider as well is that the pace, despite being absolutely blistering, we've only seen 3 drivers go a lap down thus far, and the case of Ghost Reaper and Savage Speeder, we know that was because of an incident they had earlier, same with Punisher, who had an incident back on lap 1. Other than that, all 17 of our 20 starters are all still on the lead lap, although they are starting to run down on Deed Speedman. There is a chance that Deed Speedman could go a lap down sooner rather than later here. But still, even with this blitzering pace, everyone has been maintaining a good enough pace that most of the field is still in it. We may not see a bunch of drivers go a lap down like we have over the last few races in this series. Tazebot has now fallen to 7th in this pack. It is Visible Rocket and Link the Racer, who are running 1-2 in this pack right now. And Visible Rocket seems to be having a fantastic time. He's leading by a respectable amount right now. The thing is, as we see Link gain side by side there at the lap car Ghost Reaper, if that group of cars end up in a scenario where they're too far, a big distance behind Visible Rocket, they can get a gigantic extra big toe down the straightaways and just run them down faster than Visible Rocket can react. That time we actually saw Ghost Reaper do just that thing. Ghost Reaper is now back briefly on the lead lap. But if that happens and is the actual second place car getting that giant run on Visible Rocket, well, he's just going to have to kind of let them go by. Trying to block is not really a great ideal thing to try and do when the speed differential can be 10 to 12 miles an hour in a straight line, let alone a corner. 3 wide farther back. It does feel like to me there are some drivers in this pack who are a little bit better suited to this kind of racing, and some that may just be trying to hold their stuff back. Dawson, I think, is just trying to hold his stuff back. Taze does not seem to be as confident or comfortable with this kind of racing. Boss Racer Pro, I feel, is well set early on, but we don't know how well he's able to manage his tires, because as those tires got worn out in the prior Sid, he seemed to be a little bit less aggressive. Real quickly, let's look at the tire life of our lead group. 22.8% right now for Boss Racer Pro. For Visible Rocket, who has now slipped to second, he is only at 18.3%. Dawson 14, he is currently running at 17.0% right now. Then you have Waterfire, who's moved up to 4th in this pack and at 97. He is at 29.1%. He is burning the right front, interestingly enough. Tazebot, who is ranked in 5th position, there 3 wides that come across the line that time. He is at 26.1%. Com Black in that number 84 machine, his tire life is at 29.2%. And then Link the Racer, who is 7th. Last in this big pack for the moment, he is at 17.9. So Link the Racer seems to have the best tire life right now, although Dawson is doing pretty good as well. But now that they have caught Deed Speedman, this has now turned into a 9-car pack at the head of this field here. And they don't seem to be losing Deed Speedman, so this pack at the head of the grid seems to be gradually getting bigger and bigger, but there are lapped cars fighting with lead lapped cars, which definitely upends things quite a bit. And now they are all starting to run down on Zodiac, who was the other driver involved in that accident with Savage Speeder. So we could see this turn to a 10-car pack that would be exactly half of the field in this big glut of cars right here. But again, not all of them being in the lead fight definitely shakes things up a bit and makes things a lot more interesting. leading the pack, leading the track right now is Boss Racer Pro, but it is Ghost Reaper who keeps going back to the front of this lead pack. He is the one leading this big group of cars right now. So again, this is now about an 11-car pack, just about. 10 cars. It is a 10-car pack right now. Because as this big glut of cars catches lap traffic, the draft is just strong enough that, well, that's not going to be the case for Punisher. Punisher has to pit for new tires. But still, even when this group of cars catches lap traffic, they are all fast enough, and the draft is strong enough that the lap traffic doesn't really end up losing touch with them unless there's just a massive amount of tire fall off at the very end of the run, it seems. 67 getting a push there by Waterfire. So now we see Boss Racer Pro is going to take the lead back from Taze. Taze are working around the outside. But again, Boss Racer Pro has that draft off of that lap car Ghost Reaper, but can't clear Ghost Reaper. And mind you, just behind Boss is Dean Speeman, newcomer to the series. Taze went really high in 3 and 4 that time. That's going to take him from the lead all the way back to about 6th or 7th in this lead group right now. So very interesting dynamics playing out here in this big glut of cars. And the good thing is that there does seem to be just enough room on track, and someone is stopped on circuit there. What is going on? Why do we have a stopped car? That is Punisher, who is stopped against the outside wall in turns 1 and 2. There's no damage to the car, but he is just not moving. No sign that we're going to have a yellow flag yet, as we stay green. But whatever has happened to Punisher, he is in a not super dangerous, but a moderately dangerous part on the track. Typically, you don't see drivers running that high up against the wall in turn 1 to begin with, but that is something to keep an eye on. All right, it looks like he is now starting to move. Whatever's happened, 4 wide for a lead very nearly, and now Dean Speedman is going to go to the front of this pack, trying to get back onto the lead lap, even if just by barely. And he has a big twitch and a big slide right in the middle of that pack. He slides into the outside wall there. And he will lose touch with this lead group as he continues to slide, spin, no damage, he'll be able to continue. Dean Speedman is one of those drivers who run on sim steering, and therein is the problem with sim steering. Ideally, it can make your lap times faster, but it means that any contact you have, the impact is tenfold more powerful, and it will be so much easier to lose control of the car. Now, in the process, this has actually caused us to go down to just 8 cars in this pack. 7 cars, actually, I think. Yeah, Ghost Reaper lost touch, so now these are only the lead lap cars in this group here, it seems. So only the 7 lead lap cars in this lead pack now. Dawson, Visible Rocket, and Boss Racer Pro. It is Dawson who holds the inside. Boss Racer following alongside Boss on the outside of Dawson. Dawson straddling that double yellow as they go down the back straightaway. Boss taking a little bit higher line. Taze tucking up behind Dawson. Now he looks for what's some kind of a middle lane. It's really hard to discern inside, middle, and outside, just because there doesn't really seem to be any absolute lines around here. The entire track feels kind of like the concrete oval at Dover. The entire track is just one giant lane. The only bottom is when you're alongside the inside limit of the track, and the outside is just being up against the wall. And even then, you're only up against the wall for very short periods around here. So now, Boss Racer leads is Link the Racer, who's going to try and go the outside. Dawson pulling up behind Boss, though, as they come out of Speedway Turn 2, down the back straightaway once again now. Fanning out to 4 wide for the second position. Dawson on the extreme outside, right against the wall as they go down there, but none of them are able to get alongside the 67 until just as they get into turn 3. That is Visible Rocket working to the outside. He'll pull down in front of Boss Racer Pro. Boss actually has to jump off the throttle a bit to deal with the aero change, and Visible Rocket goes back to the front. Big contact there between Link and Boss Racer Pro side by side as they go across the line. Visible Rocket leads at the line. We are just about 1/3 of the way through the race right now. Visible Rocket continues to lead. He has Link the Racer right behind him. Then Boss Racer Pro, Waterfire, runs in the 4th spot. Again, Waterfire normally running these races multiple laps down, absolutely struggling to keep the car on track and stay out of trouble, but he is having a phenomenal time. He is the only driver, along with Visible Rocket and Cam Black, that ran down this lead pack and is now fighting with them on merit. So this could be really interesting. This could be the kind of thing that could really turn around Water's race, although Water gets into cars, and now we see a big slide back there. That's Boss Racer Pro, who slides nearly out of control as they come out of the corner. I don't think he hit the inside. No, he did. The car is destroyed. Boss hit the inside wall. His car is destroyed. He has to pit. He's going to drop out of that lead group. And for Boss, that will be another shot at a race win, likely denied from him. This also is going to spread out this lead pack quite a bit. Cam Black has now lost touch with this lead group. We are now down to just 5 cars. And just as I was saying that Waterfire had been doing a really good job avoiding conflict, he got right into the rear end of someone else and just shoved them out of the way. Going into turns 3 and 4, got them sideways, and that's what led to that accident. Now we are down to really just a 3-car pack, because it looks like Link and Dawson have lost that trio of Visible Rocket, Taze, and Waterfire at the front. So despite being hyper aggressive and causing an incident there, Waterfire has actually gotten out of it even better. He is running in the 3rd spot, side by side with Visible Rocket. Taze is your driver leading right now. And we have a caution, as we are now under the yellow flag, just a little bit past the race's 1/3 mark. So we will go ahead and take a Twitch-mandated ad break. When we return, we'll likely see how everyone files out of pit lane after pit stops. We'll be back momentarily here at Sunset. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Sunset. Adam is the only driver who did not pit under this yellow flag. At least of all the lead lap drivers, he's the only one who did not pit, but he still has damage on the car, apparently. So he's likely going to pit before he go back to the green. Likely he was involved in the incident that brought out that yellow. We are also seeing the lapped cars of Ghost Reaper and Deed Speedman along with Savage Speeder. They're all going to get 1 lap back and get back onto the lead group. So basically the entire field is pitted just a little bit past lap 50. The big thing is this kind of upends the race's strategy. Without the yellow, this race was a nice, easy 4-stop strategy. Just pit about once every 30 or 31 laps and you'd be fine to the end. Now we are looking at, we're going to restart with about 95 laps to go. So you could potentially make this a 2-stop race, 2 more stops to the end of this race, but you're going to have to save a little bit of fuel and tires and extend your tire life, bare minimum, to about 32 to 33 laps each run from now to the end. I will not say it's impossible. I think it is absolutely very doable. But it is definitely one of those cases where this is going to upend things. The other thing as well is now all those drivers who are on alternate different tire strats early on, like Deed Speedman and stuff, they now know that the mediums and the hard tires are the way to go. We're likely going to see them on more accurate tires. I think there's a high likelihood we're going to see the field not get nearly as spread out once we get back to green flag racing here at Sunset. Mind you, we had been going at an absolutely blitzing pace before this yellow, and if we have another long green flag run like that, we could see that again. Also, I did some clarification regarding the yellow flag rules. Yellow flags, basically anytime there's a 2-car accident where 1 car has damage, that should be a yellow. However, if it happens in the first 10 laps of the race, it will not count, which I believe is the reason why Savage Speeder's accident did not bring out a yellow. If there is a 1-car accident and the car has damage, that still will not count, so be aware of that. Also, when we go green, 10 laps green are guaranteed unless it is an event involving half the field. If half the field is involved in an accident shortly after a restart, it is deemed foul, and they go ahead and line up for a restart anyway. I did not quite get perfect clarifications for how it works for cautions in the last 10 laps of the race, but it does seem like cautions in the last 10 laps of the race almost always will bring out red flags to try and minimize yellow flags. It also seems like yellow flags in the last 10 laps of the race are not subject to the guaranteed 10 laps of green rule afterward. So now we're seeing the field all beginning to double up, so we'll be going green on lap 55, so we will have 96 laps to go. Everyone basically has to go about 32 to 33 laps on a tank of fuel to make it to the end on just 2 more stops. I don't think there's a reasonable way you can make a 3-stop strategy work. I think you'd just be too slow, losing so much time in the pits. But man, these cars are going to be pushing to their absolute limit in the handling near the very end, so we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on that. Punisher is your only driver still off the lead lap. He is still running 2 laps down, but drivers like Savage Speeder and Adam, Ghost Reaper, Boss Racer Pro, and Deed Speedman, all those guys have now gotten back onto the lead lap after their instance earlier. We'll be following Tazebot, as once again, he will be leading the field to the green. It's going to be Tazebot, Invisible Rocket, 00 and 0 to the green flag. And we are underway once again here at Sunset Peninsula. And immediately the 00 jumps out to a nice steady lead. I want to keep an eye here on the drivers farther back in the grid though. We're going to ride on board with Deed Speedman for a bit. Look at how, oh, and there's an incident already. That is 2 cars, the number 45 spinning all by himself back there. And that I think may have been Learart. Yes, it was Learart who has had a big spin. And the front of the car is destroyed. I don't know if anyone else had damage in that mess. PRG Black has slipped back to 18th, but there's no damage on his car. We'll probably get a better idea a bit later. But restart accident near the rear of the grid, but we stay green as that was only a single car incident, and we are guaranteed 10 green flag laps unless it is a big one. Hazebot leads that time, but they are 3 wide behind with Visible Rocket, Waterfire, and Dawson. Dawson shoots to the extreme inside line. Taze cuts down in front of Dawson. They all slide just a little bit high as they come out of turns 1 and 2. It looks like Punisher, who is already 2 laps down, was the other driver involved. It has just been a punishing day for the Punisher, it seems. So once again, your top 2 in the championship, Taze and Dawson run 1-2. It is Visible Rocket 3rd, Waterfire 4th. Deed Speedman has already worked his way up into 9th. Barcelona runs around in 10th position. PRG Black, though, has lost touch with that lead pack. So has Savage Speeder, Zodiac, and Adam. So we have a smaller pack of about 4 or 5 cars way off. And then we have this big pack of 14 cars at the head of this field right now. Dawson goes to the inside of Taze. He'll take the position, I would imagine, as they come out of turn 2. But now here comes Visible Rocket on the inside. Dawson comes down, blocks Visible Rocket. Doesn't matter. Visible uses his momentum, shoves the 96 up high. Visible Rocket on the inside. Is he going to be able to make it stick? He does. Completes the side-by-side. Clears the number 96. So the number 0 goes back to the front. Visible Rocket, if he doesn't get involved in a late race accident, is going to be a serious contender for this race win. And now he's got Waterfire right behind him. Dawson on the outside. They are 2, nearly 3 wide. They are very nearly wrecking as they go down the front straightaway. Everyone trying to get different lines. That was Deed Speedman who led at the line. Where did he come from? Deed Speedman from spinning about 20 laps ago to leading that lap at the line. Although now he is leading just ahead of Dawson. So Deed Speedman in his first ever event has had the full gamut of experiences, from going a lap down, to spinning out, to having to pit under green, having to pit under yellow, to even leading. And now he is trying to hold off championship contenders. Here comes Boss Racer Pro to the inside, Deed Speedman, and Boss is going to go to the lead. We see Dawson on the extreme outside line as they go into turns 3 and 4 there. He is in the middle of what is about 3 wide there. But I think he's high enough. He doesn't have to worry about getting hit. Side by side at the line between Boss Racer Pro and Deed. Who's the leader at the line? It will be Boss. And now here comes Waterfire on the inside. Waterfire's going to give a shove to that 67. Boss Racer goes back to the front. Deed's going to go a little bit high now through turns 1 and 2. we still have 13 cars in this big pack here. And 14th place Hockey is not too far away from this group. If he can put together a good lap or two, he could still catch this pack. A gigantic lead pack here is Boss Racer Pro being pushed by Waterfire. Dawson working on the outside with Taysbot back into the fray. Side by side further back with that number 7 and the 67. That is Ghost Reaper and Link. As they come across the line this time between Dawson, Boss Racer, and Waterfire will be Dawson who leads that time on the outside lane. But Boss has the inside. He can fire it off really deep into the corner. And again, 32 laps after lap 55, it'd be about lap 87. How many of these drivers can go to about lap 87 before making their next stop? Oh, big twitch there. That was Waterfire who suddenly got shunted down below the double yellow down the back straightaway. He did not lose any positions. He also didn't gain any positions, so that likely won't be an issue. But he got a big shove there by Deet Speedman just behind. Like I said earlier, now that all these drivers know the medium and the hard tires are the way to go, we are likely going to see a bigger pack, and that is exactly what has happened. We had filed down to about 5-car pack by this point earlier when we first did this. Now we still have this big 13-car pack. First to 13th all running right on top of each other right now. Savage Speeder has caught Zodiac farther back, so they're in a little bit of a 3-car pack with Hockey for 14th, 15th, and 16th spot right now. Boss Racer Pro leads. Waterfire trying to cut down on Deed Speed. Deed's not very happy with that, but he will let him go anyway. Those 2 cars along with Dawson briefly go below the double yellow, and now we see a big shove there being given to Boss Racer Pro. Ghost Reaper is on his outside, but Ghost has the car most of the way ahead as they go into the corner that time by. Now real quickly right on board with Visible Rocket, who is 9th in this big pack of cars. He gets these tremendous runs in the draft, but there are so many cars on track now, there's just not really anywhere for him to go. This track is really wide, but it's not wide enough to go 13, 14 wide here. Big, oh, and that's someone sideways right in the middle of the pack. That's Boss Racer Pro. And he's going to go from leading that pack all the way down to 13th. He's going to lose touch with that pack. Maybe he'll lose touch with that pack. If he does, he'll likely be picked up by Savage Speeder and Zodiac. But that's the second time we've seen that happen to Boss Racer Pro. In the middle of a pack, gets involved in something and goes around. And I believe it was the second time that was Waterfire, who no guarantee, but I think it might have been Waterfire got into him. But it is Ghost Reaper, who spent a big chunk of the race a lap down earlier after being involved in an accident with Savage Speeder. Now he is leading, although not by much. As they come down to the line, he'll lead by just barely the length of his car. There are 3 wide for a 3rd position behind him. Dawson working the outside, Deed working the extreme inside. Deed Spear shoots it down on the extreme inside line, trying to pull up alongside Ghost Reaper as they go through turns 1 and 2 once again. Now down the back straightaway, side by side between Dawson and Deed Speedman. Ghost Reaper continuing to lead. Now Dawson cuts down back in front of Deed Speedman. There is legitimately, ladies and gentlemen, if you are trying to listen to this broadcast like it is a radio broadcast, there are so many things going on. There are so many positions changing amongst these top 12 cars. I cannot keep up with them all. I'm trying, but really just trying to keep my eyes on the front 2 or 3 cars in this pack is hard enough. Trying to keep the eye on all 12 of these cars in this big lead pack is just about impossible. 3 wide at the line between Deed, Dawson, and Ghost Reaper. It was Deed who led that lap that time. He goes back into the lead. It is the 27. Now on the outside, Waterfire comes back to his inside, but no, Ghost cuts down on Waterfire. Now goes wide, now cuts back down on him. Nose to tail for a top 3. Deed, Ghost Reaper, Waterfire. Dawson has a run on the outside. He'll use that to pull by Waterfire, pull up alongside Ghost Reaper. Now pulls up alongside Deed Speedman ever so briefly. Here comes Visible Rocket. He's going to be following. So is Link the Racer there as well. 3 wide once again between Link, Dawson, and Deed as they go through turns 3 and 4. And they come out of turn number 4. There are still 3 wide for a lead. And the leader at the line this time, oh, it's going to be close, but it looks like that time it was Visible Rocket who led at the line that time. Now it is 2 lines of cars side by side as they fire off into turns 1 and 2 once again. Still 12 cars in this big pack. Boss Racer Pro was caught by the likes of Zodiac and Hockey, Savage Speeder, holding up in that pack as well. So about 4-car pack just hanging a little bit outside this bigger pack of about 12 cars here. And honestly, even there, we're starting to see JDM culture is about to lose us. So we may see this file down to an 11-car pack, but still, this is the biggest pack of cars we have seen all day long. Visible Rocket outside, Dean Speedman inside as they come out of turn 4 once again. Side by side, coming to the line. Who's it gonna be? Dawson goes to the extreme inside line with a huge run, but it is still Visible Rocket who leads. Dawson below the white line. He's going to use that to shoot right alongside the leaders on the inside. Visible Rocket to the extreme outside. Dean Speedman is just going to barely hold position over Dawson. Dean goes back to the lead. Ghost Reaper runs third. Top 4 all nose to tail once again. But we see now it is Tazebot who gets a big run on that higher lane. He is leading Link the Racer with him. They pull up alongside third place Ghost Reaper. Now they pull up alongside Dawson. Now are they going to be able to pull up alongside Dean Speedman as they come out of turn number 4? Not quite, but they may have a good enough run to try and get alongside of him down the draft. That's exactly what's going to happen. Tazebot on the outside. Dean Speedman inside. Who leads at the line? It's Taze. Taze is the driver leading at the end of lap 66. Now lap 67. We are... that got a little bit messy there, but they're all still facing the same way. Taze goes way high and goes from first to outside the top 3 just in the first 2 corners. Now it is Dawson and Dean Speedman side by side once again. Link the Racer is right there, so is Ghost, so is Waterfire. FC Barcelona now starting to make his way up into the fray. He is briefly in 4th spot in that number 3 Goodwrench Chevrolet. Still a massive pack of about 11 cars, 12 cars I should say. Gen 3 has caught the pack once again, although there's a little bit of contact there. Gen 3 very nearly spun out farther back there. And while all this is going on, that pack of Savage, Boss, Zodiac, and Hockey, they are still staying within visible lane. 5 wide for a second spot there, and Dean Speedman went from blocking the extreme outside to the extreme inside. Dean Speedman blocked 5 lanes of traffic going into turn number 1 and actually opened up a gigantic gap on the rest of the field. Now it is Ghost Reaper and Dawson side by side, 2nd and 3rd position. Dean Speedman is now about half a second ahead, but he is all by himself. These drivers behind have a gigantic draft. They are going to run down on Dean within a massive amount of speed. Dean better be ready because they're going to catch him with a speed difference of about 10 to 12 miles an hour. It is side by side between Ghost and Dawson. Ghost completes the overtake on Dawson. Ghost will be the one leading this big pack of cars as they catch Dean Speedman as they come down the start finish line straightaway. Dean leads that lap without too much issue, but Ghost is now right behind Dean Speedman. Does Ghost pull under and try and make a move into turn 1? No, he does not. Until it is too late. He's got Taze right behind him now, and it looks like by Ghost not going for any big moves on Dean, Dean does not have to worry about being absolutely freight trained by the entire pack. Although they have caught him, that showed that you can effectively block 5 lanes of traffic at once. My goodness, Dean Speedman, that was one heck of a move. I would have never tried that myself, but Dean Speedman, I guess, is just built of some different things compared to me. Tazebot runs 2nd. Dawson runs in 3rd. Dawson looks to the inside. Takes to go through turns 3 and 4. Car pitting farther back. That's PRG Black, who is just coming out of the pit lane right now. Again, you want to go to about lap 83, ideally, if you want to make this race on 2 more stops. Dean tried to block Dawson, but the run that Dawson had was too strong. Dawson goes back to the lead. He is going to bring Waterfire with him. Waterfire pulls up right by the 96. Now he goes to the outside. The 96 and 97 are going to be side by side as they go down the back straightaway. Here's Boss Racer Pro in that 67. He's back into the fray. He had completely spun out, lost touch with his lead pack, but he ran this pack back down. And not to mention, he's not the only one. Savage Spear has caught this pack. All these drivers have all caught back up. We now have a 16-car pack at the head of the field. Yes, 16 of our 20 cars are still on track in this giant, massive pack at the head of the grid. And now they're starting to close up on lap traffic. That would be PRG Blackness ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, we could see a 17-car pack here as Waterfire led that lap barely over Dawson. But Dawson has the inside line. Now we see that Goodwrench machine of PRG Black on the outside. He's in one of those Kevin Harvick-inspired cars. They are 6 wide as they go down the straightaway. Taze very nearly gets spun out, but they were 6 wide trying to navigate lap traffic. They're still 4 wide farther back there as we're seeing the lap car going right to the back of his pack. He doesn't want to be in the midst of that entire mess, but is still side by side with Waterfire and Dawson. At the front is Link and Boss Racer Pro right behind them, and then Ghost Reaper is there in 5th. Still side by side, but that time we saw Water hit the outside line as they come across the line. Dawson leads at the end of lap 71. Lap 72 now. Here comes Boss Racer Pro. He looks to the inside. A big block by Dawson causes Boss to shoot up high. 5 wide for the 4th position. 6 wide, 7 wide. There's my 8 wide racing here at Sunset. 8 wide racing, contact, and Waterfire goes from about 3rd to 11th. Somehow they did not wreck, even though there was more than enough have 17 cars in this pack, and they are going 4 and 5 wide so often I can barely keep my eyes on it. We saw 8 wide racing ever so briefly going down the back straightaway, but now we're starting to see a bit of a break from the top 7 and the drivers from 8th to 15th. Boss Racer Pro leads just by barely over Taysbot. Visible Rocket is still there. Dawson and Hockey are still there as well. There are going to be 3 wide for this position. Big slide by Dean Speedman. He is sideways once again. He spins out. He's into the outside wall and gets drilled in the side. I believe that may have been PRG Black who has drilled Dean Speedman, but that's the second time that Dean Speedman has crashed there. This time it is the rear of his car that is destroyed, and I believe it was PRG Black who hit him. I cannot confirm, but someone absolutely drilled the ever-living everything out of Dean Speedman's car there. So Dean Speedman again running that sim steering makes you bad fast, but means that any contact is going to send you around. But we got lucky that Dean was near the back of this pack, so it did not lead to a big accident. If that happened while he was leading, that could have led to a track blocker. 3 wide at the line once again. Boss Racer Pro barely led that lap, but around the outside is Link the Racer. And we have a caution here at Sunset for that accident between Dean Speedman, and while we do not know who the other driver was who was involved in that accident yet, that will be our second yellow flag of the day on lap 74. We are going to go ahead and take a Twitch-mandated ad break. Wild stuff going on here at Sunset. We'll be back momentarily. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back here to Sunset Peninsula. We are halfway through this race, and these set of yellow flag stops has seen everyone come into the pits. But yeah, interesting event to say the least. Everyone paying at lap 75, so now with 75 laps to go, things get really interesting. You could potentially throw on softer tires with a lighter fuel load later in the event, but still, 30 laps are how far you can go on either the medium or the hards. The mediums are better earlier in a 30-lap run, but the hards are better later in a 30-lap run. 75 laps to go. You do the math. That's 2 full fuel tanks, and then about 15 more laps after that. You could make this race to the end on medium, soft, or hard, soft, or you could very easily make it to the end still on 2 more stops. But now, one of those stops, you could potentially throw on a softer tire compound with less fuel and try to do something wild with that. The other thing, though, is that we're not really seeing a lot of wildness with strategies, because the yellow flags, when they come, everyone seems to value new tires so high that everyone just jumps onto brand new tires every single time we have a yellow flag here. Okay, so tire field's doubled up. 19 of our 20 cars are still on the lead lap. Punisher has been trapped 3 laps down for so long in this race. It's just been frustrating for him, but everyone else is still on the lead lap at this stage of the event, as they're coming down to the green flag once again to start lap 76. Exactly starting the halfway point as we go to the green flag here. Oh, and there's been an accident right away! There's an accident! And that was Punisher, who's had a crash coming to the green flag. He hit the pit lane entry wall and hit it with humongous speed at that. But we stay green anyway. Tazebot is your leader. Boss Racer Pro right behind him, then Ghost Reaper in third. Cam Black runs in fourth. Savage Speeder now back up to fifth. Link the Racer sixth. Although Dawson is now trying to come back up the field. Taze is really good at getting up to the front in these packs after pit stops, but then throughout the run, he just kind of goes to the front, to the back. But once again, we have a 19-car pack, 19 drivers all on top of each other, although it does look like Lear Art and Adam are already backing off. They do not want to be part of this big pack, and there's a spin right in the middle of the field, and that's it! That's going to be the big wreck, I imagine. There's 2-3 cars huge hit on the tire barrier by Dean Speedman, and Boss Racer Pro crashes into the pit lane. Dean Speedman's car is absolutely dead right in the middle of the track. Everything is destroyed. I don't know if they're going to be able to get going again. Is that going to warrant a yellow flag? No, the lead pack still seems to be running, but we had Boss Racer Pro spin right in the front of that field and catch Dean Speedman with him, and they both pounded the wall. They're both going to make it into the pits, though, and they will be out of the way, but this has really spread out this lead pack. Although the draft may be strong enough, we could see the majority of them all get back together. It is Ghost Reaper and Savage Speeder now back at the front. These were the two that got involved in that accident in the first 10 laps of the race that trapped both of them a lap down. But now they are back to leading here. Link the Racers in the middle of this, and now we see Dawson already back up to fourth. He goes to the inside of that number 67 monster machine. So yes, now Boss Racer and Dean Speedman both a lap down. Punisher is now 4 laps down at this stage of the race. And it does look like we have had some level of split up in the field. I don't think 17th place Adam is in any position to catch this lead pack, so it looks like we may go down to about a 12-car pack, depending on how this goes. Because I think JDM Culture has just about lost touch with Dubs, who is in 12th, so we may be back to a 12-car pack. Savage Speeder is your leader, keeping Link the Racer just behind him side by side, between Dawson and Ghost as they come out of the corner, down across the line. Savage leads, so everything that had gone wrong with Savage's race earlier, throw that out the window. He's back in the middle of this race again. Dawson shoots to the inside, goes back to the lead. Taze, his championship rival, trying to follow suit. Taze is going to use the draft off of Dawson to get up to about the 3rd position. Savage Speeder still on the outside. Savage being pushed from behind by Link the Racer. It is 2 lines of cars, neck and neck, as they go down the back straightaway here. And it seems like it is going to be a 12-car pack at the head of this field now. So not that giant 17-car super pack we saw earlier, but still a very sizable 12-car pack here at the head of the field at sunset. It is Dawson who leads on the inside line. Savage is trying to lead on the outside line. They will be side by side as they come down the start-finish line. Seeing them go 3 wide further back. Savage leads another lap here. Dawson still on his inside, though, can probably fire it off a little bit deeper into the quarter as we start lap 80. There are 70 laps left in this race. We have a big slide there by Tazebot as he goes nice and wide. Big thing, though, is that track position just doesn't really seem to matter. Even under the long green flag runs, everyone keeps finding themselves back in these giant packs of cars. I think what's really going to matter is just making sure that your tires aren't cooked by the end of this. But other than that, you can probably make any strategy work. And as long as you're not stupid and making an extra pit stop compared to everyone else, you can still be in the middle of this pack and still make things happen. These cars seem to be slowed down enough that tire strategy and track positions don't really matter. You just don't seem to want to be the first driver as they come down to it 3 wide at the line. That time it was Taze who led that time over Savage Speeder and Dawson, but Dawson again on the inside line fires it off nice and deep into the corner. That should be enough to put Dawson in the lead, although Savage Speeder now on his outside as Taze now slips out of the down to 6th position, 3rd on that outside lane. So Dawson leads inside line, Savage leads outside line. Seeing Ghost Reaper slip back to about 7th in this giant pack of cars. I'm going to ride real quickly on board with PRG Black. Black not having the greatest run earlier, but he's in one of these Goodwrench cars. He runs right behind another one of those Goodwrench cars. The Goodwrench's cars nose to tail here just for a moment. Black last in this big pack of cars right now, just watching them all go at it. Boy, you can see Dawson and that number 0, Visible Rocket, go so far to the inside, they hit the inside wall, going down the front straightaway. Black, I think, is trying to run a strategy to where he doesn't have to actively fight. I think he just wants to be happy running behind these big packs, saving fuel, saving tires, trying to make something else work. Now, I don't think there's any way that Black could make it to the end of this race on just 1 pit stop, but he's probably trying to make anything happen because it does not look like he is confident enough to get up there and fight right in the trenches with everyone else here. Cam Black has made his way back up in the third. Cam Black was one of those drivers who was in that midfield pack earlier and raced his way up to the lead pack, and ever since then, he's not really lost touch with this group. Boy, very nearly accident. Savage Spear very nearly got turned there by Waterfire. Again, those two seem to get into it at least once every race, if not more. Ghost Reaper goes high, and that will let Cam Black on the inside take the lead, but how long? Because here comes Waterfire. Waterfire on the inside line. He's not shown any hesitancy with putting the bumper to someone if he thinks they're too slow. Side by side between these two once again. 00 giving a little bit of a push there to Waterfire. Now this pack spreads out just a little bit. A few of the drivers near the back of this grid seem to be backing off a bit. Still 2 and 3 wide as they come out of turn number 4 at the line. Look at Dawson take that extreme inside line again. It is Cam Black who led the lap that time. Dawson has this thing where he comes out of turn number 4 and he just herks the car all the way to that painted apron. As far as I can tell, the painted apron must be legal if he, the series host, is using it all the time. But he herks the car coming out of turn 4, gets right on that painted apron, and then shoots back up the track at the last moment to try and merge back into the field. The only time he doesn't do that is when he's side by side for a lead, but anytime he's not in the top 2 or 3 positions, he always shoots to that extreme inside coming out of turn number 4. It is so wild. He is the only driver I'm seeing doing that. I've seen one attempt at it, I should say. I've seen one attempt at it by Visible Rocket, but for the most part, it just seems like no one really wants to make that line work. Dawson is the only person doing it. Once again, Cam Black leads as they come across the line to start lap 85. So 65 laps to go here at Sunset. When will drivers start pitting? Do you want to pit early and try to get ahead of pit stops? Or do you want to pit late so you don't lose this big drafting train of cars? There is this pack farther back with Lear Art, JDM Culture, Gen 3 LS, and Hockey, but those 4 are just kind of holding their own, just kind of running their own race right now. Dubs is also at the very back of this pack. He's just holding on to the rear of this grid, but not really making any moves. I think Dubs and Black are in the same mindset. They don't want to be actively fighting at the head of this field. They just want to be behind them, gain the advantage of being in the draft for the moment. 3 wide at the line that time, and it was Waterfire who leads onto the inside. Here comes Zodiac, who's been involved in an instance earlier. Zodiac now goes back to the lead of the race. Cam Black and Waterfire side by side for second. Water on the inside, Cam Black on the outside. Cam has a draft off of Zodiac, but Water has that tighter inside line, the faster way around, and he's got Ghost Reaper right behind him again. Now we see Ghost Reaper, Visible Rocket, and Dawson all briefly go below the double yellow. Doesn't look like it improved anything for them. 3 wide for a lead between Zodiac, Cam, and Waterfire. On the extreme inside is Waterfire. Looks like Zodiac is going to fall off just a bit. So Cam on the outside, Waterfire on the inside. Neck and neck as it comes to the start-finish line. Who leads this lap? Yes, by a small amount. It was Cam Black. Waterfire pulled to the extreme inside line as if he was trying to deny a side draft. But in the process, he threw away the chance at leading that lap. Here comes Taysbot now. He's pulled up to the outside, so 3 wide again. Tays on the extreme outside trying to wrap it around Cam Black and Waterfire. 12 cars all going around 3 or 4 different lanes. There are 4 wide farther back in this pack, but it does look like it's going to be once again Waterfire and Cam Black fighting for a lead here. Tays has a run, but Cam throws the block side by side for a lead once again. It looks like it will be Cam Black who leads at the line once more. Tays is going to duck to his inside. Side by side between Tays and Cam Black. Tays on the inside will now take the lead as they go into turn number 1. Side by side, just behind them, but it is Tays who leads Cam Black. Now Cam gets back to the inside of Tays, and Ghost Reaper is going to get right alongside that double yellow as they go down the back straightaway. He'll go by all of them. It is going to be Ghost Reaper. No, not quite. It looks like Cam Black is still leading as they come through the tri-oval. Now they fire it off down to turns 3 and 4. It is still Ghost Reaper on the inside line. Cam Black's going to have a wider line. Tays now slips back to 5th here. Here comes Zodiac back into the 3rd spot. Side by side between the 67 and the 84. Neck and neck as they come out of turn number 4. Who's it going to be this time? That time it's Link the Racer who goes to the extreme inside. Cam Black has led 3 laps in a row at the line, although he's not been the leader the entirety of the lap. he really seems to understand how to be the driver, leading as you get to the start-finish line, it seems. Ghost Reaper now completely takes the lead over from Cam Black as they go down the back straightaway. Waterfire is also going to get by that number 84. The 84 is being pushed by the 41 of Zodiac now on the outside line. Taze is third car on that inside line, and there's another glut of cars from about 6 on back being led by Link the Racer. But this pack of 12 cars seems to be calming down just a little bit. I don't know if some of them are just trying to save fuel and tires. I don't know if some of them just want to not be involved in an accident. 4 wide, just as to say they were calming down. 4 wide for a third spot, side by side at the line. That time it's Ghost Reaper who barely leads over Waterfire. 4 wide still for a 4th position. They finally go back to 2x2x2 formation as they go into turns 1 and 2 once again. Side by side, Ghost Reaper on the outside, Waterfire on the inside. On the extreme inside, here comes Zodiac. Zodiac is going to go back to the front on that extreme inside line. He is trying to bring Link the Racer with him. Waterfire back to the outside. 97 and 41, neck and neck, side by side. 2 different numbers driven by Kurt Busch at different points in his career. Going for a lead here at sunset. Still have this 12-car pack here right now. Three wide farther back, but at the line, who leads it? Kurt Busch beat Kurt Busch. It was Waterfire who led that lap over Zodiac. The outside line seems to be the way to go, but you have to make sure that you don't have someone on your outside as you come out of that corner there. Number 7 of Link trying to follow Zodiac, and now he looks to the inside of Zodiac as they come down the back straightaway. Zodiac shuts the door, though, maintains the lead on the inside of this line. Leading the outside line is still Waterfire. He's got Cam Black pushing him, and just behind them is the 8 of Savage Speeder. 2x2x2x3 the field is as it goes through turns 3 and 4 this time. Bit of a slide there by Waterfire as they came out of turn 4, and there's a spin, and that's 1 car, and it's one of our championship contenders. It was Dawson who goes into the pits. I don't think there was any damage to the car, but 2 drivers in our lead pack spun, and one of them was Dawson. Oh, and Dawson, one of our championship contenders, he now needs a yellow flag to basically cycle him back in with the rest of this field. I can't tell who the other driver was that spun out with him, because, of course, now is when Forza decides to come. Oh, and it's Punisher who drops out. He was 4 laps down, so I can't be that surprised. And I think it may have been... I can't tell who it was, honestly, but this has spread out this lead pack quite a bit. We're now down to just 9 cars. It may have been Visible Rocket who went sides with him, as Visible Rocket has lost touch with this lead pack. We are now down to a 9-car pack. 4 wide at the lead. Zodiac, Savage, Lincoln Campbell 4 wide at the line, and it was Zodiac on the outside who leads. Now, Savage Speeder shoots to the inside. He'll take the lead. But this could have major championship implications for Dawson. He didn't have any damage, but he spun into the pit lane. He is now going to lose touch with the draft of this lead pack. His race may be derailed unless we have another yellow flag. We know he's able to race his way up through the field very quickly, but if we do not get a yellow flag and the field gets really spread out and we go green to the end, that could be the kind of thing that derails Dawson's championship hopes here. And speaking of which, Tazebot leading on the outside. That is the other championship contender. Then you have Savage Speeder leading on the inside, 2x2x2, as this is now down to a 9-car pack at the head of the field. As they come down across the start-finish line, it is Taze who leads that lap as he is being pushed by Ghost Reaper. Dawson still on the inside being pushed by Link the Racer. Still side by side between these two. Taze on the wider outside line. Savage now finally clears Taze. Savage leads on the inside line being pushed by Link. Taze trying to get a run built up on the outside. He's going to pull back alongside the number 8. The 8 and the 00 side by side. Taze gets the car about 3/4 of the way ahead. Now Savage has to worry about Link looking to his inside as they come down to turn 3. It will not happen. They're still going to be side by side. It's going to be Savage versus Taze for the lead as they come out of the corner. Savage has the car ahead as they come out of turn 4. Taze hits the outside wall, spin once again, but this time barely. They were able to keep it on track. That was FC Barcelona, who very nearly crashed into the pit lane wall. Somehow he kept it out of pit lane. Now the pit lane wall, he will barely hold on to the rear of this pack. This lead group is getting very dicey, even though it is a lot smaller than it's been before. It has gotten very aggressive and very dicey here in these latter stages. Big blocks and big slides are happening when they're coming out of the final corner, and it's really breaking up and shaking up the way this pack is playing out here. Savage Speeder is leading over Taysbot. Tays on the outside, Savage on the inside, and still Savage being pushed by Link the Racer as they circle around turns 3 and 4 once again. Down the front straightaway. Two by two throughout this entire grid. It was Tays who led that time. Savage leading the inside line. Tays leading the outside line. Real quickly, let's look at the fuel and tire wear of some of our lead group. Savage is at 36% wear, 34% left in the fuel tank. A look at Taysbot. He is at 49.6% wear, 35 in the fuel tank. Then I look at Ghost Reaper, who is third in this pack. He is at 50% wear, 34% in the fuel tank. I look at Cam Black, who is fifth in this pack. He is at 51.2% wear, 32.8% in the fuel tank. Then I look back here at PRG Black, who's just been kind of hanging out in the back of this pack, not really fighting very aggressively. He's at 64.7% on the tire wear, 50% in the fuel tank. The wildest thing for PRG Black is that he is on soft tires, but the draft is so strong that even though Black has absolutely burnt up these tires, he is still able to hold station with this lead pack. He's not able to make moves, he's not able to fight with them, but PRG Black on the softer tire is able to keep pace with this lead pack on completely burnt out tires. So it looks like tires aren't too much of an issue unless you want to make moves near the end of the fuel run. It's all about fuel tank, and you just basically have to make sure you have a full fuel tank near the end of these runs. Side by side, but that is Deed Speedman, who's going to go 2 laps down now after he was involved in an accident shortly after the green flag that time. So Deed Speedman back in this pack. Not the first time we've seen Deed in this pack. We know that he's competent and capable of running with this lead group, but he is on sim steering, and every time you get a hit delivered to your car in sim steering, it feels so much worse than what it actually is, and it will just spin the car out. And he has had 2 accidents in turns 1 and 2, and then a separate accident where he ended up getting caught up with someone else shortly after this most recent restart. That is why he has gone 2 laps down. Tays leads in what is a middle lane. Now we see Savage Spear trying to wrap around the outside on Tays. Deed Speedman trying to stay only 1 lap down on that inside line. Now, contact, and Savage is into the wall, and Tays is into the wall as well. Savage and Tays, one of our championship contenders. There's no damage. He went ghost mode to avoid damage, but Tays has now lost touch with the lead pack. Both of our championship contenders have now lost touch with the lead pack. And we have a caution, apparently. And that is the second time that Savage Speeder has been involved in an accident, but there's no damage to his car. But that warranted a yellow despite no one having damage. So we are going to go back under yellow with about 2/3 of this race done. We are going to take a Twitch-mandated ad break. We will be back momentarily here at sunset. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Sunset. Those concerns I had for Taysbot and Dawson being involved in 2 separate incidents have been resolved now because we're back under yellow, and we know that Dawson has the ability to rush right up to the front from the back to the front in just 5 laps. Taze, we believe, will be in a similar position. So championship still wide open between those drivers. We have 17 cars on the lead lap right now. It's a little bit hard to tell with Deed. The thing with Deed is that he was right ahead of the field as the yellow flag happened. So he should only be 1 lap down. I think they'll likely allow him to catch back up to the rear of the grid, and he will be recorded at the tail end of the lead lap. And if so, Deed's been absolutely fantastic stuff, going from being 2 laps down to maybe just barely being on the tail end of the lead lap here. He'll have to rush to catch the pack because they're already down in turns 3 and 4. And with 50 laps to go, there's just one more stop you'll have to make between now and the end of this race. But again, if there's a yellow flag, everyone has been pitting every time we have a yellow as a group. I have a feeling that if we get another yellow in this last 50-lap run, you are still going to go ahead and pit anyway. All right, Boeing son, you say you solo this lobby. You go ahead and try to reach out and drive in this series. I'd like to see you try. I'd like to see you try and carry on, my Boeing son, as we come to the green flag here with 50 laps to go at Sunset Peninsula. Side by side between Ghost Reaper and Link the Racer. Green flag as we are underway. It looks like Deed's even farther back, will just barely catch the rear of the grid just as they went green. Yes, barely in time for D. Good job on his part. So Boss Racer Pro is now the only driver 1 lap down at this stage of the race. Ghost Reaper is your leader. Link the Racer and Cam Black side by side, farther back there. Waterfire runs in 4th. FC Barcelona in 5th. I have to wonder about PRG Black as he put on soft tires again. He keeps doing that, and it just kills his ability to make moves more than like 10 laps into a run. But it does seem to be a move that he seems to be relatively comfortable with doing, it seems. Side by side between the 27 and the 7 as they come out of turn 4. Who's going to lead as they come to the line? This time it's going to be Link who leads this time. I believe half of the field has led at least 1 lap at some point in this race or another, if not more. Honestly, I think we're averaging a lead change about once every 2.5 laps or so as well. Someone's in the wall farther back. Is that Gen 3? Yes, Gen 3 into the outside wall farther back there. No damage to the car, but whatever has happened, he has lost touch with the pack, as has Adam. But everyone else is still there. We have a 16-car pack right now at the lead. They are 3 wide at the head of this field. Ghost Reaper up front, Link trying to wrap it around the outside. That is Cam Black tucked up behind Ghost Reaper in that monster number 27 machine. Side by side at the line, Link is the one who leads again as they cross the line. And now they fire it off into turns 3 and 4 once again. 3 wide, farther back still. They cannot seem to figure things out. And Dawson is working his way up through the grid there on the 3rd lap of this. And already Dawson is gone for about 12th to 9th. You would think he'd make up ground through the field a little bit faster, but Dawson seems to be really confident with running that inside line, but you don't really get a chance to make up as much positions on that inside line as you would on the higher outside lines. Cam Black now on the outside of Ghost Reaper, so it's Cam Black versus Ghost Reaper side by side as they come out of turn number 4 this time. Side by side by side by side. There are 3, nearly 4 wide farther back at the line. It is Cam Black who leads. The outside line still seems to be the way to go here as you come down to the start-finish line. So remember that when we have our run to the finish, the outside line driver seems to be the one that is the one who's able to lead the laps more often than not. Still 3 and briefly 4 wide farther back as we have a 16-car pack here. Once again, I almost am numb to just how extreme this race has been. It's just constant chaos. I can barely keep up with everything. So I'm kind of trying to tune my excitement down, just as if I tried to be gassed up over everything, my voice would already be gone. I'm in the line, 3 wide this time. It'll be Cam Black. It was Tazebot who pulls back in line behind. Dawson is not moving up the grid as fast as you thought he would. It is Taze who is rocking it up the grid this time right now. Taze looks to the inside of Cam Black. Cam's going to get a bit of a run. He's trying to get to the outside of Ghost Reaper. Ghost on the inside, Cam Black on the outside. So we're definitely starting to see, as this race is going on, a lot less movement in these packs It's not to say there's no movement in the packs, but the drivers at the head of these packs seem to be staying at the front of these packs for longer periods of time compared to earlier when we had that massive 12 to 16 car pack earlier. Drivers are constantly going up and down it. Now we're seeing about the same 4 to 5 drivers in the top 5 to 6 positions almost all the way through. This time as it come across the line, Cam Black barely leads again over Ghost Reaper. Cam Black, I feel like, has the best idea on how to position his car on the run to the end, but I don't think the pack has solidified enough to where he can guarantee he'll be at the front. If Cam Black's in the top 5 positions coming to the last 2 laps, I think Cam is going to be the pick to win this race. But if he's not in the top 5 spots, I'm not so confident he'll be able to make that work. Side by side, between Taysbot on the outside and Ghost Reaper on the inside. Ghost Reaper giving a big push from behind from that number 3 car of FC Barcelona. Cam Black pushing Taze 3 wide back there for a 5th spot. As it comes to the line this time, it is Taze on the outside line. So again, it is the outside line that is able to lead coming across the start-finish line, but it's the inside line that leads as you dive down into turn 1. Big impact into the outside wall back there. Huge impact. Who was that time? That was Boss Racer Pro, who was in the middle of that lead pack. No damage to the car. He'll be able to continue somehow. No damage to Boss Racer's car, but a bad day continues to get worse. And mind you, Boss Racer Pro is on the extreme outside periphery of the championship battle, but this race has just been going from bad to worse for Boss. And with Taze and Dawson still running around this big lead pack, any chance that Boss had of trying to close in on the championship fight looks like it's going to be over. Coming down to the line is Cam Black, who leads again on the outside. Now we see a big dive to the inside by Ghost Reaper, but Taze blocks him at the last minute. Taze leads. Now he goes back to the outside to block Cam Black. That gives the inside line back to Ghost Reaper. Ghost Reaper inside, Taze outside. The pack's really kind of calming down. Now we're just seeing big pairs, 2 by 2 by 2, throughout the top 2 or 3 lines. And now Dawson has worked his way up to second on the inside, but now they are 4 wide. They are for the 3rd position. Now they go back down to 3 wide. We can see that Visible Rocket has made his way back into this fray. Reminder, he was involved in that incident with Dawson, where Dawson spun into the pit lane. But now, Link is back, Visible Rocket is back into it. There are 3 and 4 wide near farther back, but Taze leads again at the line. Ghost Reaper to his inside. Cam Black pushing the 0-0. Ghost fires it off on the inside, going through turns 1 and 2. Taze is going to go nice high line there. So it looks like we are down to an 11-car pack. Deed Speedman is 11th last in this 11-car pack right now. And then we have another slightly smaller pack of about 4 cars with Black, Savage Speeder, Lear Art, and then Hockey fighting for 12th or 15th. And Adam, Gen 3, and Dubs, they have all lost touch with this lead group here. Taysbot inside, Taysbot outside, Ghost Reaper inside, side by side again. As they come down to the line, it's going to be Taze who leads at the line. As it normally is, it will be, but this time not by much. Ghost Reaper had to get offline to try and block Zodiac. Zodiac goes to the extreme inside line. Zodiac is going to force Ghost Reaper up the track, which in turn forces Taysbot up high off the track. And Taze gets off those rubber-in lines. He now falls not well down the road, but he now falls to about the 4th position. Zodiac now leads on the inside line, still has Dawson behind him now. Ghost Reaper on the outside, Zodiac on the inside, Taze on the 2nd position on the outside line, Dawson 2nd on the inside line. Coming through turns 3 and 4 again, 3 wide again, farther back there. It looks like Deed Speedman is now hemorrhaging time to that group, so I think Deed may be on worn-out tires and is losing touch with the tires falling away from him. So now it's just a 10-car pack at the head of this field now. Still side by side, Taze leading the outside line, Dawson 2nd on the inside line. It is Ghost Reaper leading that inside line. This pack isn't just complete anarchy at the very front. The top 2 to 5 cars seem to know that the ideal way to go here is just 2 by 2 side by side, but everything about 5th on back will sometimes be 2 by 2 as well, and sometimes they'll explode to 3 or 4 wide, we have seen. But as this race has gone on, the intensity is kind of ratcheted down just a little bit. That's not to say that a mistake would take out a bunch of cars, but everything is definitely ratcheted down in the intensity. Drivers are really trying to figure out what ideal lines are. So we're not just seeing cars all over the place. We're now just seeing 2 normal lines forming here at sunset. And again, reminder, one more pit stop anticipated between now and the end of this race. And every race in this series before now has had a yellow flag with at least 40 to go. All of the oval races have had a yellow flag with at least 20 to go or less. We've had several races with green-white checkered finishes on top of that. So the chance for another yellow flag is absolutely still in the cards as well. But if we stay green, we still have a lot of drivers who are in for this. Now, though, it's starting to go down to single, or it was briefly going down to single file formation. Zodiac leads over Taysbot that time. Zodiac on the outside, Tays on the inside. Tays has Ghost Reaper pushing him, but they are single file just behind our lead two. Now that 41 goes wide, the 00 goes wide as well. And now Ghost Reaper on the inside. Again, we're now at the point where if you're on the medium tires after the most recent pit, you're going to be feeling a little bit of tire fall off. Not a lot, but you'll be feeling some tire fall off. Once you get to about lap 20, or 20 in the run, so about lap 120, you're really going to be feeling tire fall off on the mediums. If you're on the softs, you're already dealing with a lot of tire fall off, which, considering that FC Barcelona is, again, last in this pack, I think that is the case for Barcelona once again here. Side by side the line, Tays on the outside leads again. So again, the outside line seems to be the way to go. The question is going to be, when will these drivers pit? We have 35 laps to go. A fuel tank can go about 33 laps. If you're in the draft, you could save a little bit more. Do you try a pit early, get away from this pack, work with someone else, and just try to get some track position? Or do you try and pit late and potentially short fill, have a little bit shorter pit stop? I personally feel that pitting later would be the ideal circumstance. Also, if you're going for a later pit stop, either you could get a yellow and pit under the yellow flag and be fine, or if there is a late yellow, you may not have to worry about pitting again and you can get some free track position later on as well. So again, a lot of things going on. Link the Racer now falling down out of the grid. Link went ghost mode. He's now out of ghost mode, but he has lost touch with the leaders. And another driver in our top pack bites the dust. We are now down to just 9 drivers in this lead pack. PRT Black also has lost touch. So we are now down to 9 drivers in the lead pack. Zodiac is now 9th, last in this pack of 9 cars. He is at tires with 35.8% wear right now. Tays it's Ghost who leads on the inside. Tays trying to work the outside, but cannot get alongside Ghost this time. Although he does have a run coming now, it will be side by side between the 00 and the 27 at the line. Will it be Tays? It is still Tays. Tays went from being completely behind Ghost to being past him on the outside line. And we have a caution. I didn't see any accidents happen. There are no evidence that we had any accidents, but we have a caution. And this is good news for Boss Racer Pro. He now gets to get back onto the lead lap. But this is going to be weird because we are under caution with about 34 laps to go here. Everyone, if they pit now, potentially could make it to the end. We're going to go ahead and take a Twitch-mandated ad break. We'll be back momentarily here at Sunset Peninsula. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Sunset Peninsula here with 33 laps to go. If you put in a full fuel tank and ideally the hard tires, you are good to the end of this race. And of our 20 starters, now with this most recent yellow, well, of our 21 starters technically, but of our 20 starters, 19 of them are going to be still running, and all 19 of them will be on the lead lap. Although in the case of Boss Racer Pro, he is going to have to absolutely hoof it out of pit lane so he can catch the field as they're coming back to the green flag. But we saw Dietzman do it earlier. Should be able to do it again. I would imagine that everyone will have put on the hard tire compound to go to the end, just in case we stay green here. Yeah, Boss Racer Pro already out of pit lane, so yeah, he will catch the rear of the grid, and all 19 drivers in it. Boss is going to be in an interesting position because he is the outside championship contender. He is way behind both Dawson and Taze in the points coming into this race, but still realistically in it. If Taze and Dawson have anything go wrong and Boss can go from 19th up to the front, he could really put his championship hopes back to life. But reminder, Taze has not finished out of the top 5 all season long. I think Dawson hasn't finished worse than 6th all season long either. Boss needs to ask for a lot of things to happen. He has caught the rear of the grid. They come out of the final corner. We'll be going green with 33 laps to go. The fuel numbers are going to be a little bit tight here to the end. But if we stay green, it will be tires we were worrying about as we go green. And Taze immediately lunges ahead of Ghost. That was a very spread out start to head of the field. Most of the lead pack went single file there, actually. Real quickly, looking back here at the rear of the grid, on board with Dubs in the 19th spot in last place. It looks like the lead pack, or the leaders of the pack, are all going single file. No one's really trying to fan out 2 and 3 ride too early here. Now we're starting to see him fan out 3 and 4 wide as they're coming down into turns 3 and 4 at full speed. Is JDM Culture on the inside trying to get into the lead of this race now. And we'll see them fire it out of the final corner. Big pack, the 19 car pack, biggest pack we've had all day. And it was Cam Black who led that time at the line. Again, JDM Culture is a bit of a new name up near the front, but again, I feel that Cam Black is going to be someone to seriously watch. I really feel that Cam Black has something. I also said earlier, I didn't think Taze really seemed to look very comfortable. Well, now that the race has calmed down a bit, and we're starting to see everyone understand that there's just 1 or 2 ideal lines, there's not this crazy 3 or 4 lane action, I feel like Taze has been getting a little bit more confident and is looking a little bit better. The other thing to consider, what tires are everyone on from now to the end? Medium tires can make it, and medium tires will be faster for the first 20 to 23 laps of this run, but hard tires will be slower. You're not going to have as much grip, but you're going to be a lot better near the very end of the run. The big thing though is that if we get another yellow, it may not matter. You might go ahead. If we get another yellow, you might go ahead, jump in the pit lane, and throw on some soft tires to give you some maximum handling. So hards may not really play a big role one way or another. But again, that's if we have a yellow, and we should be guaranteed green flag to at least lap 127 here, which would be 23 laps to go in the event. Cam Black leading, but they are 3 wide just behind him. JDM Culture gets to the inside of that number 84 machine. That is the Gatorade machine pulling up alongside the Carvana car. The 41 to the outside of Cam Black. They are 3 wide as they're going to come across the line, and Zodiac on the outside is going to snooker Cam Black. So Zodiac leads. So the outside line is the way to go. You want to get a draft off of somebody going through turns 3 and 4, then shoot to their outside as you're coming out turn number 4. Make sure you don't hit the outside wall, and you should be able to beat just about anyone to the line with that strategy. JDM Culture leads on the inside line going down the back straightaway this time. Zodiac falls back to 3rd. Link the Racer now in 2nd, pushing JDM Culture as they go down to the last 2 corners here once again. 3 wide farther back, but the top 2 stay nose to tail as they come out of the final corner this time. Cam Black looks to the inside. Cam's going deep to the inside. 3 wide at the line. It is Zodiac who led. Zodiac got a fire run on the outside very late. He went from 3rd to 1st on the outside and still led somehow. Again, that run on the outside coming out of the final quarter seems to be the way to go. You have more speed built up and more everything. Adam is pitting here with 28 laps to go, so he is basically out of it, but the other 18 cars also on the lead lap, all still in this lead pack right now. Cam Black is now falling back to 10th position. Dawson is in 6th. Taysbot is in 7th. Those are your two championship contenders. But Boss Racer Pro has worked his way from 19th on the restart up to the 3rd position. Side by side at the line is Lear Art, who leads this time. I do legitimately think that probably about half, if not 2/3 of the field has led a lap at some point in this race or another. Zodiac leads over Lear Art as they come down the back straightaway once again. Boss Racer Pro holding the inside line. Zodiac and Lear Art have a bit higher line. They can see Adam just ahead. Adam is going to become a lapped car momentarily here, coming up on 25 laps to go momentarily here. Nearly 4 wide. Here comes Deed Speedman, who's been involved in no less than 3 separate accidents, but he has shown no fear whatsoever despite the problems running on that sim steering. Oh, that's an accident! That's gonna be an accident! Multiple cars involved as a lapped car got into the outside wall. PRG Black crashes, Hockey crashes, they're both into the pits. I'll be shocked if that doesn't warrant a yellow flag, honestly. Gen 3 was involved in that accident as well. Adam still continues, but Black, Hockey, and Gen 3 all crash as Adam went right into the outside wall, blocked the fastest lane of the field as they came out of turn 4, and now we're down to just a 12-car field. Adam now drops out of the event. We'll try to reach out to Adam and see what happened from his perspective. Oh, Dean Speedman spins! Dean spins out of the final corner! And he's into the pits! And he's not the only one. Dubs went into the pits as well to avoid him! I think a bunch of drivers were involved in that. We were on board with Dean and didn't really get a great view of it. I was also trying to get an interview done with Adam, but I'm not going to be able to do that. So now the entire field completely spread out, but the leaders are still at it. But now the lead pack is down to 7 cars, and Dawson and Taze are, well, Dawson's in the lead pack, but Taze is no longer in the lead pack. And this lead pack is just 6 cars now. If we stay green to the end, after those 2 different accidents, oh boy, and this has also put Boss Racer Pro way down in 11th. He is running all by himself, so yeah, unless we get a yellow, championship is over for Boss Racer Pro, it would seem. And Dawson is in the perfect chance to close in and maybe steal the points lead back, although Taze is leading his little group with Barcelona and Con Black back into it. We may be back to having a 9-car pack for the lead here. So it looks like everyone from about 11th on down is now going to go a lap down after 2 separate accidents just a lap apart from each other. And now we have a 9-car pack at the head of this field. 26 of JDM Culture leads on the inside, but Zodiac shooting on the outside. The outside line is where you want to be, coming to the checkered flag. The question is, how far back can you be going through turn 4 before you shoot to the outside? You don't want to be too far back, or you'll just run out of track, or worse yet, someone may come up to block you. But if you're right there in first, you can't go to the outside because someone can just keep going even farther outside against you. You need to figure out if you want to be 2nd or 3rd or maybe even 4th, and do you want to be right behind the rear bumper of the leader or somewhere else? That is going to be the winning position, I imagine. FC Barcelona and Cam Black still holding on to the rear of this 9-car pack, but pack has single filed out quite a bit now. And again, all these drivers will have to pit again, so all those people who have already had an accident, they do have one advantage. They have knocked out their last pit stop. The only problem is they're all spread out, but they have knocked out a pit stop now. They can stay green to the end of this race without issue. These drivers here all still have to pit one more time. Now, all these drivers are going faster right now, but if they start in the up and instance, they start picking themselves apart, there'll be more positions for those drivers like Deed Speedman, like Dubs, like Savage Speeder, Black, Hockey, Gen 3, Waterfire. All those drivers will still potentially be able to go to the end. These drivers may still have to worry about fuel. 4 wide formation as they go into turns 3 and 4. On the extreme inside is... oh, who's it going to be? It is going to be Zodiac who leads at the line that time. That is the lap car of Ghost Reaper, who is currently 2 laps down right in the middle of this fight as well, mind you. Ghost basically needs 2 more yellows to get back onto the lead lap right now. Boss Racer Pro is the last driver still on the lead lap. There's really no threat of him going a lap down, but he is not in good position right now. As I look at this pack of cars, everyone from 1st to 9th all still realistically in it, but we have a 3-car breakaway. It is Zodiac, Lear Art, and JD and Link the Racer, along with the lapped car of Ghost Reaper. This is the 4-car pack at the very head of this field, and then you get back here to Barcelona, JDM Culture, Dawson, Rocket, Taze, and Cam Black. They are just all barely outside the draft of this lead 4 group of cars. Can this lead 4 group of cars stay ahead of the rest of them? Can they make it just a 3-car fight between each other? Zodiac trying to go for what would be his first win of the season. Lear Art trying to go for what would be his second win. Remember, Lear Art won back at the race at Brands Hatch, mind you. And Link is still there as well. No, wait, it wasn't Lear Art who won. I apologize. It was Link who had won back then. I apologize. It was Link who had won. It looks like they are losing touch with, well, Ghost Reaper is losing touch with our top 3, but in the process, Ghost Reaper is going to be giving a draft to the drivers behind. FC Barcelona, who has just been kind of hanging out in the back of the pack most of the day, has now caught up to that lap car. He is in 4th position, and he is about to catch this lead group, and when Barcelona catches this lead group, he's going to bring, oh, and that's a spin! That's why you're championship contenders! That's Dawson who's around! He's into the outside wall, he gets back going again, no damage to Dawson! But Dawson has lost touch with the lead pack, and he's not the only one. Tazebot has as well. Your championship contenders both involved in the spin there. Taze has lost touch with the leaders, and so has Dawson. But the thing is that Boss Racer, who really needed that to happen, he's still 13 seconds off of them. This might not really change the championship very much. All right, but now we are down to a 4-car pack here, it seems, for the lead. Barcelona has caught this group. JDM Culture is just about a second out of the lead with Visible Rocket and Cam Black behind them. 18 laps to go here at Sunset. Still nose to tail, just about. Zodiac leads Lear Art. Link the Racer is there. We still have Ghost Reaper, who has now gone back to the front in this pack. But Zodiac is leading. Again, there is concern about fuel. We think everyone should be able to make it to the end on fuel, but it's going to be tight. There's concerns about tires. The drivers who are not on the hard tires are going to be dealing with a lot of fallout near the very end here. Dawson is 3 seconds off of Taze. Taze is 3 seconds off of 7th place Visible Rocket. So Taze and Dawson likely going to finish 8th and 9th unless there is a yellow flag or one of them have some other catastrophe happen. That would add 1 more point to Taze's lead over Dawson in the championship, and Boss Racer would lose 1 more point to Dawson and 2 more points to Taze. While that wouldn't completely knock him out of championship contention, he is still barely in the hunt for that title. But the fight for the win could still be all over the place. Link the Racer is the only driver in these top 7 cars that have actually won before. But again, we're not really looking at 7 cars, I feel like, because Cam Black is not really closing in on this lead pack. He doesn't have any drafting help behind, doesn't really have drafting help in front. Now, we've seen him run down a lead pack before, and I hope he has the tires to do it again, but I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. If it ends up just being 4 cars, that would just be Zodiac, Link, Barcelona, and Lear Art. Barcelona in that number 3 Dale Earnhardt Goodwrench machine, a very specially colored Goodwrench machine at that. He pulls up behind Link the Racer, who is still in that Blue Angels number 7 machine, and Zodiac leading in that late career Kurt Busch number 41 Monster Energy car. Cam Black, can he catch this lead group with only about 5 cars in this lead pack? I do feel that Cam Black is the best driver to bet on if he can catch this lead pack, but it is a big if. I don't know if he has what it takes to do it. He is just about to catch the rear of this pack. I think he can. It looks like Cam is going to catch the rear of this pack. So now we have 5 cars in the lead pack with 15 laps to go here at Sunset. 42% tire wear for Zodiac at the head of the field. For Link, who is running in second, he is at 42% tire wear as well. For Barcelona, who is third in this pack, he is at 45% tire wear. For Lear Art, who is now fallen to 5th in this pack, he is at 42.8%. Then I look at Cam Black, who has just shot to the lead going around the outside. Cam Black is at 43% tire wear. All these drivers are going to be feeling extreme tire fall off at about the same point of this race. Tazebot's actually starting to close in on this lead group, and so is Dawson. Tazebot's also just about to catch JDM Culture. Now, it's unlikely we'll see Taze or Dawson run down this group. They are 5 seconds out with about 15 seconds left. They have to close by about a third second a lap from now to the end. But there is a possibility that Taze might be able to hook up with JDM Culture, and the two of them can try and pull away from Dawson and maybe pick up 1 or 2 more positions if there are instances up here. But now we have a 5-car pack at the head here. All the chaos, all the anarchy is now simplified down. We have 5 cars. Cam Black is your leader. It is Zodiac who runs in the 2nd position. 3rd place is Link the Racer. 4th is FC Barcelona. 5th is Lear Art. The game is saying that the gap between Cam and Zodiac is 3 seconds. It is most definitely not nearly that big. It's honestly closer to about 0.26 seconds. Cam Black leads with less than 15 laps to go here at Sunset Peninsula. Do we stay green to the end? If we stay green to the end, these drivers will have to fight mano-a-mano. But if we have a yellow flag, I imagine everyone will jump into the pit lane, throw on some soft tires, and it's anyone's game all over again. I really hope we stay green, because a interesting 5-car fight will be interesting. Zodiac runs in 2nd. Link is right behind him. But again, all 5 of these drivers are going to be dealing with tire fall off. It may not be decided off of a last lap pass. This finish might be decided more off of who can best manage their tires. Now we see Link going to the inside of Zodiac, side by side for 2nd position. Both of them closing in on Cam Black here. And we have a caution. And it is JDM Culture, who has apparently had an accident, and his car is destroyed. And per usual, we have a caution with less than 15 laps to go in a PPRL race. And all the interest and all the intrigue is gone. Everyone will probably pit for soft tires, and we'll have a restart with about 10 laps to go for just complete random anarchy and chaos. And the 140 laps before this has mean absolutely nothing. We'll take a Twitch mandated ad break, and we'll be back momentarily here at Sunset. What? Why? Your tires are cooked, man. You're not going to be competitive. But why? Your tires are cooked. You're not going to be competitive. Well, Dawson's not cooked on tires, but... All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Sunset. With this late race yellow, we are guaranteed that fuel will not be an issue to the end. But I thought everyone would pit under this yellow. That has not been the case. Zodiac has elected not to pit under this yellow flag. Lear Art has elected not to pit under this yellow flag. Both of them are at tires that have 50% wear or more. Dawson also elected not to pit. Now, he is on the hard tires, so he still has some life left in them. but everyone behind from 4th on back are on softer compound tires. Taysbot is going to restart in the 8th position. Boss Racer Pro is going to be restarting in the 10th spot. And once again, the entire field back on the lead lap. 18 cars all on top of each other. But Zodiac and Lear are going to be restarting on very worn tires. Dawson will be restarting on moderately worn hard tires. Everyone behind is either going to be on mediums or softs. If you put on the softs, you'll be feeling some tire fall off at the very last lap or two, but you will have the best handling and the best ability to react and move. I personally think mediums are probably the better way to go about it here. No, fuel will not be an issue for anyone here. We are just about guaranteed on that. Still, everyone is single file as they're still waiting for the rear of the grid to catch up, and Taysbot is pitting. No one else pits, though. It's just Tays. Ghost Reaper is also going to join him in the pits, though, near the rear of the grid. So I imagine that for Tays and Ghost here, they are going to put on a set of soft tires for what looks like will be a 10-lap sprint to the end. The soft tires should be able to last about 10 laps. Field now doubling up. 18 drivers still with us after the 20, technically 21, but 20 drivers that started. All 18 of them still on the lead lap. Realistically, if this race gets chaotic enough, this finish could go to any of them. This victory could go to any of them. There is still a possibility of another yellow flag if we have a big enough accident here. Although I really, really hope we have this 10-lap run to the checkered flag stay green all the way to the end. Zodiac, Lear Art on very worn tires will be restarting at the head of the field. We're almost guaranteed that we're going to see him fall down through the grid. Dawson leading on the second on the inside line. His tires have some life left on them, but they are much harder than everyone else's. Link the Racer on the outside. He is the first driver on nice, fresher tires. Tays has actually been given his spot back. So has Ghost Reaper as well, it seems, as we are coming down to 10 laps to go here at Sunset Peninsula. Coming down to the start-finish line once again. 9 rows of 2. It will be green flag with 10 to go. We are underway once again here at Sunset. Dawson got a fantastic launch on Lear Art. Lear Art just did not get going at all. It is Zodiac, Dawson, Lear Art right now. Cam Black already in the 4th spot. Keep an eye on Cam Black. Again, I do feel that if he is up near the front with 2 laps to go or so, he will be the driver to keep an eye on to likely win this event. He is side by side with Link the Racer for the 4th spot right now. But Zodiac, Dawson, Lear Art nose to tail at the front. Now we see Cam Black looking to the inside of Link the Racer. Barcelona is right there in the middle of this as well. What about Taysbot? That's the other thing. Taysbot is still thinking about a championship. Can he find a way to get ahead of Dawson? Moving up through the grid has gotten a lot harder as this race has gone on. But Tays has much better tires than Dawson does. Link leads at the line. Zodiac second, Dawson third. But Dawson on the extreme inside, he's now starting to hemorrhage a little bit of time. He falls to 4th. And now Barcelona goes to the lead for the first time today. He spent most of the race just hanging out last place in a pack, but now Barcelona goes to the lead. He's not the only one though. Link is still on his outside. There's JDM Culture on the extreme outside as well. Link comes down in front of Barcelona. Barcelona doesn't want that to happen, but too bad. Link on the inside, JDM Culture on the outside. 2 by 2 by 2 at the front. Here comes Tays. He's already wrapping it around the outside. Tays is back ahead of Dawson. Well, Boss Racer Pro, the other championship contender, he's buried in 12th. Coming down to the line, the leader just barely goes to JDM Culture on the outside line. Link the Racer on the inside could not make it 6. So again, the inside line is going to be a good way to get to the front, but you want to be on the outside line, making the move, coming around the outside, coming out of turn 4. And there's another spin by Dean Speedman. That will be like the 4th accident he's involved in. There's been several other drivers involved as well. Lear Art's involved. Boss Racer Pro's involved as well. Another multi-car accident, and Dean Speedman in the center of it again. Lear Art, Boss Racer, and Dean Speedman all involved in another accident. We stay green though. Those 3 drivers are back moving again. We may stay green to the end here, but we are now down to what is a 14 car pack. Gen 3 LS will have to pit as well. It looks like he has lost touch with the pack, also was involved in that accident. But yeah, I think we're going to stay green here. Link leads. Now it's JDM Culture on the inside who leads. 7 laps to go here at Sunset. 4 wide, farther back, there's another spin. That's 7-speeder in hockey. 7-speeder in hockey get into a spin. They will lose touch with the lead pack. Now it is down to a 12-car pack at the head of the field. Link gained a big shove from behind by Ghost Reaper. Taysbot is right there. Dawson has slipped back to 6 now. Cam Black is back there in 7th. Here comes Visible Rocket. He's another driver who has been an absolute rocket at various points of this race. Link gets a big push by Ghost Reaper on the outside. Coming down to the line side by side. It was just barely Link who led over JDM. No, it was JDM Culture led over Link apparently by just 11 thousandths of a second that time. So again, the outside line is the way to go. JDM Culture continues to lead. Ghost Reaper is right behind. It is FC Barcelona back into the fray as well now. He's moved back into the 3rd spot. He's gained a little bit of a push from behind in the form of Dawson. 4 wide there. Dawson, Barcelona, Tay. Oh my God, I can barely keep up with it. Yeah, oh my goodness, JDM Culture and Ghost Reaper still side by side. They are almost 4 wide for a lead as they go into turns number 3. Ghost Reaper outside, JDM Culture on the inside, and Link is on the extreme outside but could not pull up alongside in time. 3 wide as Taze comes to the extreme inside line. It is Ghost Reaper who leads. 5 laps to go here at Sunset. Ghost Reaper leads. Taze now to the inside here. Taze shooting forward. Dawson stuck in 6th, but Taze in 1st. This could swing the momentum of the championship massively here. Boss Racer Pro a lap down. For all intents and purposes, he's going to be locked out of the championship. It's going to be Taze versus Dawson here. And for the win, we still have an 11-car pack. Any of them could win it with some good timed runs or some luck in the midst of chaos. On the outside is Ghost Reaper. On the inside is JDM Culture. Taze runs in 3rd right behind him. He is running right behind Ghost Reaper, trying to give him a push. Now he crosses over, goes through the extreme Kel Yarborough line. 3 wide for a lead as they come down to it. 4 laps to go. Ghost Reaper on the outside again leads. The outside line is the lane to be in, coming to the checkered flag. It's all going to be about positioning. Who is going to be best positioned to make the outside lane work? Side by side, door baiting between JDM Culture and Taysbot on the outside. Now it is Link the Racer. Here comes Waterfire. 2nd car on the inside line. He's back into the fray as well now. Cam Black is still in the middle of it. He is 7th. Dawson has now slipped away to 9th. He is losing ground. He's still in this pack, but he has slipped back to 9th in the pack. And there's an incident in the pack. And there's several cars sideways. One of them is Dawson. Dawson loses touch with the lead pack now. With less than 4 laps to go. Taze and Link are in a dead heat drag race at the front. The entire lead pack is completely split apart again. 3 laps to go. Is Taze and Link, are they far enough away from Ghost Reaper to make it just a 2-car fight to the end? Ghost Reaper has Dubs and Waterfire and FC Barcelona and just those 4 cars trying to run this duo of Taze and Link down. And will they be able to bring Cam Black and Visible Rocket back into the fray as well? Side by side between the 7 and the 0. Link the Racer outside. Taysbot to the inside. Neck and neck with a big gap between them and the drivers ahead. But is it big enough? I think they might be able to run them down. It is not going to be just these 2 drivers. They come up on lap traffic in the form of Dean Speedman. Dean holds the inside line, lets them all go without too much of an issue. Nose to tail. Taze and Link. 2 laps to go here. We should see no more yellows to the end of this race. Ghost Reaper is now within 6/10 of Taze and Link. As these 2 are going nose to tail at the head of the field. They're coming up on more traffic. That is Leroy just ahead of them. Now we see Link goes back to the inside of Taze. Side by side between Link and Taze. Here comes Ghost Reaper. Here comes Dubs. Dawson has slipped all the way back to 12th, but Taze is still right here up at the front. It is still the number 7 on the inside of the 00, side by side as they come down to the final corners once again. Cam Black is not going to be in the middle of this fight near the end. We have a 6-car pack for the win here. Barcelona, Waterfire, Dubs, Reaper, Link, and Taze coming down to the white flag. Nearly 3 wide the line, and it will be Taze who leads, coming to the white flag. Ghost Reaper shoots it to the inside with a humongous run, and it is Ghost Reaper now who goes to the lead, going into turn number 1 for the final time. Taysbot is right behind him though. Taysbot has a run. He looks to the outside. He falls back in line behind Ghost Reaper. He goes back to the outside. Link the Racer pulling up behind Ghost Reaper. But it looks like it's going to be Tazebot versus Ghost Reaper as they're coming down to it. There will be a little bit of traffic ahead in the form of Gen 3. How is he going to impact things? You see Dubs trying to wrap it around the extreme outside and the target car. The number 7 of Link's trying to go to the outside. There's no room. Side by side out. Turn 4 for a final time. Taze is on the outside. Link is on the inside. Ghost in the middle. 3 wide as he comes to the stride. Who's it going to be? Taze! 4 wide finish. And it is Tazebot who will win his 3rd race of the season here at Sunset Peninsula in a 4 wide finish. Now, Game Set Cam Black was first. He was not. He was down in 7th. 2nd place will go to Link. 3rd will go to Ghost. 4th will go to Dubs. 5th will go to Waterfire. 6th will go to Barcelona. 7th will be a Cam Black. 8th to JDM Culture. 9th to Rocket. 10th to Zodiac. 11th to PRG Black. 12th to Dawson 14th. 13th to Hockey 2487. 14th to Savage Speeder. 15th to Gen 3 as he's coming around now. And then we'll see D-Spammin, Lear Art, and Boss Racer Pro be the only drivers off the lead lap 16th, 17th, and 18th. We'll go ahead and knock out a Twitch ad break. We'll be back momentarily for post-race interviews here at Sunset. All right, coming to the party right now. Taze, can you hear me?
Yeah, my audio's already in, so you're good.
All right, I'm not gonna Twitch ad break right now. I'll start the interview proper in a little bit here.
Yeah, you're good. How'd you like that racing tonight?
Oh boy.
Let me guess. You were screaming half that time, weren't you?
I actually had to tone it down early on because I realized you all were never gonna bloody calm down, so I calmed way down early on
that
just to make sure.
That lap 55 to lap 70 was no joke, huh?
Dude, fucking 17 car mega pack was something else to say the least.
Dubs, what'd you finish? W.
Dubs gets 4th. Dubs got 4th as far as I can tell.
Alright.
Yeah, Dubs got 4th.
Dude, I thought that was Dawson. I was like, oh my god, that's Dubs.
All right.
God, that's Dubs.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome you back here to Sunset Peninsula. I'm your host for today's broadcast, Insane Leader 13. Our race at Sunset is over. Ignore the counter here that we have on screen is not quite accurate. Cam Black came home 7th, not 1st. Your race winner in a 4-wide finish at the line is Tazebot44. Taze, incredible job out there. What do you have to say about that fantastic run today?
Dude, that race, that honestly, lap 1 to lap 150 felt like the last lap every single time we went around that track. I mean, the amount of blocks, 4 wide, 5 wide, it was crazy. I swear that was the best race that we've had in a while, especially the amount of cars we had.
Yeah, not to mention, mate, you were involved in an instance earlier on, but the yellow flags came out, and every time it seemed like you came right back through the field. I will fully admit, Taze, I said earlier in the event, Taze doesn't really seem to look very comfortable when everyone was going 4, 5, 6. At one point, I saw 8 wide racing, in the words of Twisted Toe, and I was like, Taze does not look comfortable. But near the end of that race, you seemed really happy and hooked up. Was there like a transition throughout the race, or was I just reading you wrong and you were just happy the entire time? Oh no, not again. No, not again. Not again. Ah! Xbox party crashed.